continue throughout the remainder of the morning hours. Then we're looking at a secondary potential round by the afternoon, evening hours, looking at some isolated showers and storms. Best chance for some stronger wind gusts going to be south of Jefferson County and areas back towards Arkansas. The rest of the region, though, going to continue dry out as we head off to Thursday morning. Dry conditions, temperatures into the mid-80s throughout the upcoming second half of the week into the weekend. Maybe a spot shower possible Saturday morning, but we dry out really quickly, looking at partly sunny skies. Beautiful weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ken Scotch.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Man, are we halfway through the week already? Yeah, looks like it's Wednesday. That's what the calendar's telling me. Well, good morning. Hey, Mike Ferguson here. And don't forget, that's when we start collecting our request for 80s bump music for Friday's, Flashback Friday. I don't know if there's a theme this week or not. Jerome will let us know if there is this week in just a little bit here. We had we have a lot of interesting conversations on here, but there was a story in Red State on redstate.com. Terry Christoph wrote just a couple of days ago regarding particularly young men in America, and that there is a significant portion of them, of Gen Z, in fact, who are giving up on the job market, just kind of tuning out and dropping out already. And they haven't even really had a chance to build a career. Why is that? Well, among other things, they say AI is taking all the jobs. Well, they're not taking all the jobs, but that's the perception that many of them have. Why is that? Instead of looking at things like, wow, things are changing a lot. Where's my opportunity? Which is kind of what we were taught, a generation ago. So Terry wrote about that. I thought it was pretty fascinating. And Susie and I had a discussion about that. And then Jerome and I had a discussion about that later in the show. And here's the conversation with Terry. Then I'll let you know where you can find Jerome and I's discussion about it. Are many young men just giving up on careers because of AI?
Apparently so.
Yeah. And I want somebody to explain this kind of to me here. Terry Christoph wrote about this at redstate.com, and she joins us right now. The article is AI fears are driving more and more Gen Z men out of the workforce. And Terry, here's what I want to ask you about this at the article, because it wasn't driving them to other lines of work. It wasn't driving them to adapt or learn. It was driving them out of the workforce. That's what jumped out at me. What are we finding?
We are finding that Gen Z does not like AI very much, is very much convinced that AI is going to pretty much make them obsolete in terms of the careers that they might want to have. So I think they're failing to launch into adulthood. Now, there could be other reasons. There could be laziness, whatever. But for a certain portion of them, it seems like AI, they are so convinced that if they start a career in AI, why bother if it's just going to take over for them? So they're not even starting to even go down the path towards what might be a traditional career now. It could be any number of things, I suppose, that AI could replace, but we don't know for sure what it will replace. But they are, as a generation, as I noted in my article, I am a mom to 4 Gen Z kids, and I see this. They have a huge distrust of AI. They do not use it, and they are so kind of bummed at me and my husband because we do use it on occasion for certain things. For research, it's a great thing, but they have a natural distrust, which I think is really fascinating.
It almost, I have to be honest, I think it's probably a healthy distrust to a certain extent, but I'm wondering, Terry, if they're opting out because of this, what are they doing?
That was my question. It's like
how do you just opt out? Because I don't think when we were in our 20s or when we were young people, we understood the option of just opting out of working.
Well, unfortunately, it seems like they're at home with mom and dad, which, again, I don't think we could completely blame that they're so, distrustful of AI taking over their careers that they're just going to stay home with mom and dad. I think there could be other things at play there.
Maybe.
But, there does seem to be a more recent shift of young people wanting to extend childhood as long as they wanted. So like you said, like to us, childhood was pretty much 18 and childhood's over. You got to start thinking about some stuff. I feel like these newer generations, Gen Z included, don't see that like deadline which in my brain was very interesting for a lot of things that were happening this week, such as what was going on the Lincoln. When I was writing the article about the AI, I was thinking, well, like there's so many young men and women just go right into the military. There's still enough of them that aren't thinking that way. Like, I'm just going to stay home and see what happens, see what mom and dad can foot the bill till we see what happens. But there's also obviously a number of people who are going into the Navy, into the Army. So there are options. And as I'd like to point out, because I think Mike Rowe is the most fabulous person on the earth, because he's just not political. He's just normal and smart and makes tons of sense. He has really been on the forefront of pushing trades. And I think that there's so many trades that AI just can't just take over and just make human obsolete, needed for for a certain thing, like an HVAC system right now, an AI robot, that's way too expensive. It's, we need people to train to do that, plumbing and all that. So there are solutions to this. How do we, the young men are always kind of the issue right now. How do you reach them to get them to vote? How do you kind of motivate them to want to embrace adulthood and maybe figure out a happy balance with AI? So we parents have a bit of a job on our hands. They can't just drop out. I really don't think that's an option.
I wouldn't think so. The article at redstate.com, AI fears are driving more and more Gen Z men out of the workplace. So I'm going to follow up on what Susie was just asking a second ago, Terry, about, okay, so where are they going? You say, okay, well, they're staying at home. I mean, is the mindset that we're seeing or the trends that we're seeing not? And again, this is going to be not everybody. I want to be clear. I'm not dismissing an entire generation of young men, but the article is fairly specific here. I mean, is this a matter of I give up? What's the point? I'm not going to try to build anything? Or is it a matter of I don't know where to go? So when they say dropping out of the workforce, is that consciously saying I'm not going to participate and build a career of any kind, or is it a matter of I'm just lost?
Well, I'll use my own example in my own household. I have a 23-year-old son who does not like AI one bit, does not use it, is very, very, very much in that mindset that this is going to really harm my generation down the road for jobs, for what are we going to do? Now, he does have a job, but he knows a lot of young men in his age range who don't. They are spinning their wheels trying to figure it out. I think a certain number of them are willing to give up. If mom and dad are willing to put them up, they're willing to stay as long as mom and dad are going to, so they can put this decision off as long as possible. But there are other ones who are thinking. So my son he has a job. He's thinking about a trade. What's something that I could do that's going to be really valuable right now and into the future? So it's kind of a split answer. I think some of them are willing to see, if mom and dad bank of mom and dad are going to foot me this bill, then I'll see how long it can go. But there are some who are thinking we got to be smart. We got to zig when everyone else is zagging. So they are thinking about it, but they need to hurry up maybe, because I don't know, the longer you stay out of the market, I think it's probably the harder to get back into it.
Absolutely. Well, Terry, now you are the mother of both sons and daughters, so you maybe have a better perspective on this or a better grasp on this than I do, because I only have a daughter. But why is this specific to Gen Z men? Yeah. What are Gen Z women doing?
I think that they are more willing, and the article, I could have probably maybe gone a little deeper into what the girls were doing, but it said like they are also dropping out, just not at the huge numbers that the young men are. And I think that the young women are willing to take jobs at like Sephora and retail and do things like that while they're kind of seeing how it goes, because I think they like to have a little bit of money. So I don't know if there's historical data that show that young women have always or recently participated in the labor market in greater numbers than young men. I'm not sure about that, but it seems like they're willing to kind of take, I don't know if menial is the right word, but more low-level
service jobs
as they're kind of pursuing their opportunities, or they go to college in great numbers, and who knows what they do after that. A lot of them end up back with mom and dad. So it's an interesting conundrum for these young people, I think. I do think there's some laziness, but I also do think the world has changed so fast recently that everybody's kind of like, what are we going to do next? But they gotta launch. They gotta get out there. They gotta figure this one out.
Yeah, I mean, and if it's honest work, I've tried to condition myself to They're entry-level jobs. I mean, honest work has a certain dignity. We should be treating that with. I mean, Mike Rowe, I think you mentioned him, encapsulates that, and he articulates that exceptionally well. So then where do we go? Where do we go from here? Last minute or so, we've got Terry Christoph from RedState.com. I mean, is this just a matter of, okay, they'll grow out of it just later than previous generations have done here? Because, I mean, I'm thinking back. I mean, I'm Gen X, and I'm thinking back to the point where, man, we were, like you were mentioning, hey, by the way, you're 18. Okay, I went to college, but I worked my way through college. My parents helped some. I had scholarships. I paid for some, and parents more than me, obviously, by a long shot. But when it was just expected, I was going to work my way through life. I mean, it never dawned on my generation, not anything special about me, and that's how I reared my kids. Both my kids work pretty hard. They're doing well. Both of them make more money than I do right now, which is the goal. Is what you want on that. And so, at what point should we temper our opinion and our viewpoint to say, dude, grow the heck up, go get a job, Yeah.
I think it's going to be parents. If parents are like letting the kids come back in droves to sit there in their houses and not do anything, I think it's up to the parents to say, yeah, this is a crazy time. It's a minefield with AI. We don't know where it's going, but all jobs are valuable. All work is valuable. It is valuable to you in so many ways. I think to a certain extent, parents cannot condone this. Like, there are plenty of jobs out there right now. There's no reason that these young men can't be employed. Yes, maybe AI is coming for them. We just don't know yet. So in the meantime, you got to get out there. And I think it's good for everybody. It's good for their mental health. It's good for getting them away from their parents for a little bit, So I think parents are going to have to draw the line, which is kind of weird to me because, like you, an 18-year-old, a 24-year-old, you shouldn't have to do that. But apparently that's where we're at.
Yeah, I got my first job at 13.
Right,
I mean,
right?
Yeah. All right. So the article, once again, AI fears are driving more and more Gen Z men out of the workplace. And you can find that at redstate.com. And Terry, good chat with you again. We've already tagged you on social media. So, that's a unique angle to go look at something. And that's why it jumped out at me. So I appreciate you just writing the article.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here this morning.
Okay. Terry Christoph from redstate.com. And a little bit later on in Tuesday's show, Jerome and I had a discussion about that, Jerome being obviously much closer to Gen Z than I am. And you can find that at the NewsTalkSTL podcast page. Just look up Mike Ferguson in the morning. And that was in the 8 o'clock hour. And you can find that just about 10 or so minutes into that hour. All right, it's Wednesday, which means send us your bump music request for Flashback Friday. Send them to Jerome or put up some notes on social media in the comments on Facebook or in the chat box on Rumble, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. All right, this is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, ephes, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Jamie Allman, the news business has totally changed from when you started.
Yeah, it really drives me crazy about the whole way in which they replace anchors. Like if a woman gets old, if she gets over 40, they send her packing. You can look like Jabba the Hutt as a man and still be an anchor on local news. I don't understand that, but it's not fair.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, there's a lot going around St. Louis. At 6, I think we'll start right off the bat on 6:05. The St. Louis County Council again passes one of these anti-begging, anti-panhandling ordinances. They have the votes to override Sam Page if he decides to veto again, because they tried this a few years ago. So what are you seeing out there? I drive around quite a bit around the area. Everywhere. You see them everywhere. And, of course, there's the big argument. Larry Rice had to make his presentation and his presence known at this. We're going to talk to Dennis Hancock, St. Louis County Councilman Dennis Hancock, at 7:05 about this and some other stuff. But I'm curious. I'm going to put that out there. What do you think? Should we be restricting or banning this? Is it a First Amendment issue? How do you deal? What do you deal with when you see them, or how do you deal with them?
Well, panhandling is one of the few occupations that can't be outsourced to AI, so I don't want to take away people's jobs, but it does feel like almost every off-ramp that you come across these days, there's somebody begging for something.
Right.
Oftentimes, at least in my experience, they've been polite not to walk up to the vehicle and harass you.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes they have a little clever sign, but overall, I can understand why people are concerned about the growing trend that's going on with that.
Yeah, and I don't even, you got a right to sit there and beg for money. I've got a right to, drive right on past you, which is what I do, because I know you're not actually helping if you hand them money. You're really not. But, and we'll get into this, I think, a little more at 6:05 here. I do see, it seems like increasingly them going out into the street, and that is good. And also, it's not even just beggars. And I'll talk to you on 6:05. In the last 2 weeks, at a couple different locations, I see people in matching T-shirts, and they're soliciting money for their religious, their church or their ministry or whatever, and they're walking in and out and asking for that too. And they're not panhandlers or beggars, but they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Just for Jesus. So it would apply a little bit more, but we're really targeting the panhandlers and beggars is what this is doing.
Yeah, it's a little bit more dangerous when they're already in traffic, trying to keep an eye on them and also keep an eye on the lights,
right?
Because you don't want an incident to happen.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we'll get into that here in just a little bit. Let's see here. What else is going on? Oh, there's an interesting, another lawsuit regarding the general election on the Missouri side here. There's another referendum that, by all accounts, apparently had enough signatures, and Secretary of State Danny Hoskins rejected it. Now, I'm not talking about the congressional district one. We're talking about one that would change the state constitution regarding overriding referendums. Because, a couple years ago, we had a referendum that had to do with minimum wage and paid time off and all this kind of stuff. And it passed by the voters, and then the lawmakers basically just overrode some of it in the next legislative session. So this would change that and basically make it harder for them to do it. Well, Secretary Hoskins says, no, that's not going on the ballot either. So there's a court case on that. And so is it going to be on the ballot? Is it not? I don't know, but I'll tell you what's at stake. Maybe 620. I think we'll do that.
Sounds like a good idea.
Let's see here. What else? Oh, Frank Beard died.
Oh.
Yeah, Frank Beard. You being a drummer, I suspect you've listened to some ZZ Top and were like,
of course.
Oh, that kicks butt. You know, the guy was a good drummer.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so throughout the morning, like in the news dump, I've got a soundbite from him and a couple of his, I think, better known, drum driving songs there as well. Just kind of like one of those definitive bluesy Southern rock sort of sounds that was just so uniquely ZZ Top.
Yeah, he definitely fit into the category where he may not have been the most technical drummer, but it really enhanced the sound of the entire performance to have him. And there's not really a whole lot of drummers that I think could have filled in for ZZ and made it still sound like ZZ.
Yeah, and he had this like bluesy feel to it. And you think of bluesy, you think of guitar, but he had this like bluesy feel to the drums. That was just even when they did the really pop MTV thing, you still had that. It was just, you knew when it was a ZZ Top song coming on.
Yeah.
You just knew it. So yeah, he passed away at the age of 77.
Oh.
Yeah. So by the way, I'll put that out there on social media. Give me Facebook comments. Give me a Rumble thing. What was your favorite ZZ Top song? Or do you have a favorite? Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, I got 2 or 3 that I think are really just great songs to stand up in any era.
I mean, can you really beat Sharp Dressed Man, though?
It's hard to.
It's just such a fun song. It feels good to walk around with that blasting on.
That's a great matter of fact. I heard that I was driving to my ball game last night, and that came on because the station I was listening to was like announcing the news that Frank Beard had died, and they played 2 or 3 ZZ Top songs wrong, and that was one of them that I had cranked up even last night. Okay, let's see here. What else we got going on? Oh, I don't have a lot of time to do this. You see that Disney and ABC are suing the FCC.
I saw something about that.
Yeah, this is interesting. Okay, and it's kind of funny because I've tried to put out the warning, like, listen, they're biased against the Trump administration. They're biased against Republicans. They're biased against conservatives. There's no question about that. And you look at The View and you look at, Jimmy Kimmel and all this sort of stuff. However, and some other conservatives I think are coming around on this. Like, for instance, Tim Jones put something on Twitter or X the other day that kind of encapsulates what I feel, saying, listen, the idea that the Trump administration, any government, let's take the Trump administration out of it. We don't like the coverage you're giving me. We think you're unfair. We're going to review your licenses, your broadcast license, because of the way that you're covering this, and then the argument is you're not serving the public because we don't like the coverage that you're giving. Well, they are 98% negative to the president. But here's the thing. I think there's a bigger picture. Maybe I'm more sensitive to it because I've worked in this industry as my vocation. But what's happening is in the U.S. District Court of Washington, Disney says the FCC was seeking to coerce and retaliate against a network that refuses to bow to the administration's demands. That's their words. Listen, they just don't like him. They just can't stand him.
Yeah.
But to broadcast over the air, you have to have an FCC license, and by law you're supposed to work in the public interest. But here's the thing: is if this is the precedent that's set, okay, the next left-wing administration that comes in, are they going to target stations like NewsTalkSTL?
Oh,
because we're going to be hostile to them and their ideas as well. So that's what I caution people on this, is that, I get the distrust and the dislike for the Disney-owned stations, for the ABC stations, for people like Jimmy Kimmel, for The View and all that sort of stuff. But I'm more worried about any government, Republican or Democrat, jumping in and saying, watch what you're saying about us because we hold the keys to your license.
Yeah.
I don't, that's not sitting well with me. And I can dislike both things at the same time. I can say ABC and Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and whatever nation, I think he's CBS, but all of those, I'm like, you guys can pay the price in the marketplace, which is what they're doing, without government playing games like that.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
NewsTalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on NewsTalk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This is Larry Connors, and I strongly endorse McGuire Moving and Storage. Moving locally, long distance, home, office, and keep in mind they have warehouse storage available for you. Moving anything, anywhere. McGuire Moving and Storage. 314-241-0600. 241-0600. Check them out, McGuireMoving.com. McGuireMoving.com, and get your free estimate today.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com.
Stop before you dig. Click or call 811. Every dig, every time.
Water, power, internet, and sewer are all essential services we rely on, and all are buried underground and out of sight. Hitting one could mean big trouble. Contact Missouri 811 before you dig to avoid costly repairs and outages. It's free, it's easy, and it's the law.
Stop before you dig. Click or call 811. Every dig, every time.
It's the law. Sponsored by Missouri 811.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. It is a Florida blowout victory for Byron Donalds, a resounding win for the Republican congressman in the Florida GOP governor's primary. Donalds, backed by President Trump early on, vows to keep taxes low and protect school choice. He also says he'll stand with law enforcement. Donalds vowing to keep Florida red and to keep Florida free. He'll face off against former Democratic Congressman David Jolly in the general election. Also in Florida, President Trump is applauding the overwhelming primary defeat of Democrat Alexander Vindman. He was a star witness against Mr. Trump in the impeachment proceedings. Vindman took a drubbing at the hands of challenger Democratic Socialist Angie Nixon in the Florida U.S. Senate primary. Nixon will face Republican Senator Ashley Moody in November. President Trump says the United States and Canada have had a meeting of the minds on trade.
Less than 2 hours before he was set to impose 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian imports, President Trump announced on social media that the U.S. and Canada have a deal, subject, he writes, to the finalization of documents. Trump's import taxes would have hit about 5% of what Canada ships to the U.S., including products ranging from hockey sticks to tongue depressors. And Canada had threatened to respond in kind. But those sanctions are now delayed, buying time for more negotiations and avoiding, for now, yet another strain in already tense relations between historic allies. Ben Thomas, Washington.
President Trump insists the U.S. is in full control of the Strait of Hormuz, despite Iran's claims to the contrary. Mr. Trump adds that right now no further talks with Tehran have been scheduled. On Wall Street, the Dow futures are flat. NASDAQ futures down 47 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures towards the lower 80s. Scattered showers and storms continue throughout the remainder of the morning hours. Then we're looking at a secondary potential round by the afternoon, evening hours, looking at some isolated showers and storms. Best chance for some stronger wind gusts going to be south of Jefferson County and areas back towards Arkansas. The rest of the region, though, going to continue dry out as we head off to Thursday morning. Dry conditions, temperatures into the mid-80s throughout the upcoming second half of the week into the weekend. Maybe a spot shower possible Saturday morning, but we dry out really quickly, looking at partly sunny skies. Beautiful weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Today, the story behind the story, the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Is there anything in your life that is not Trauma Olympics?
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, so the St. Louis County Council taking another swing at curtailing aggressive panhandling, and that's what they're calling it in the ordinance.
Okay.
This one, remember, they did this, 3 years ago, I think it was, and Sam Page vetoed it.
Yeah.
And then they didn't have the votes to keep going with it. Passed 6-1.
Okay.
So they got the votes.
All right.
Now, whether Sam Page virtue signals and tries to veto it again, I don't know. But here's, and to be fair, because I try to be fair to everybody, even including Sam Page, when he vetoed it in 2023, because I was kind of going through covering that story back in my head, the argument that he made is this is probably going to lose in court, and we're going to spend $50,000 defending it.
Yeah, there were, as I recall, maybe like First Amendment concerns, constitutional concerns.
Yeah, because there was a previous effort that was struck down.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, gosh, that was even before News Talk even started. So that would have been, I don't know, we were all still over at the other station. So I remember covering it there. And so I remember saying, I don't think that's actually why he wants to do it, but he actually had an argument. He had a defensible argument on that. So they've tweaked it and they put it back out there, and you go through the whole, show, Larry Rice showing up and arguing against it, basically saying, but we need to, instead of doing this, we need to spend a bunch of money and, take care of homeless people and all this kind of stuff, which is Larry's thing.
That's his mission.
I mean, has been for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so it passed, and here's some of the interesting aspects of it. And this is my I guess, question to you all. You can send me notes or give me a call here. Should we be restricting the begging or the panhandling? And when I say that with all of them. Most of what we see are the folks who are down and out, for whatever reason. But I mentioned to Jerome a few minutes ago, I said, I'm also seeing in a couple different places, there's one just off Manchester, and then there's another in Afton, where sometimes it's the panhandlers and other times it's people dressed in like matching T-shirts for their local church or ministry or whatever.
Okay.
And they're trying to hand out stuff and they're asking for donations at the same time. And they're doing the exact same thing just for Jesus. And so I think all of this would be covered by the same ordinance, I would think. But they extend this to beyond just the begging at the street corners or on the intersections, rather.
Yeah, what are the actual provisions?
Okay. Yeah, that's because that's the devil in the details, right? And so it defines aggressive panhandling, 1, as touching somebody when they're asking.
Okay.
2, intimidation, which I would think we'd all agree on. Continuing to ask for money after you've been told no.
Okay.
Walking out in the street and blocking traffic.
Which is already illegal anyway.
Right. And the thing is like, what's different since Sam Page vetoed this before and the other one was struck down, is that some municipalities around the area have passed similar things, and those have been upheld so far.
Okay.
Also, they say using obscene or abusive language. And that's pretty subjective.
Yeah, I mean, that could almost, well, it is, but that could kind of fall into the intimidating category too.
Causing someone to fear bodily harm.
That's very subjective.
Right. There's also some others, for instance, no, you could not panhandle at bus stops.
Okay.
Within 15 feet of an ATM.
Okay.
Yeah. On private property. Well, it seems to me the private property owner should be the one to make that decision, but okay,
Right.
I get it.
I mean,
I get it.
that's-
Yeah. Which would basically be
Trespassing.
shopping malls and trespassing and places like
Right.
that, restaurants, whatever the case is. During inclement weather and at night.
Okay.
And so what Sam Page is going to do with it, I don't know. It doesn't matter with the 6-1 vote.
Right.
And anybody want to guess who the one vote was?
Lisa Clancy.
Lisa Clancy. Yeah, exactly. And so this is most likely going to be passed into law. I think everybody expects it to be challenged by somebody. I think the ACLU was involved last time, that sort of thing, and threats. But you got two different questions. Is as much as I think most of us don't like seeing this and dealing with it, people have different views. I don't like it because somebody's in a bad situation in life, or I don't like it because they're, bothering me or whatever the case is. There's that question. And then there's the other one as to good policy, bad policy.
I mean, this is, first of all, it's very specific.
Right.
And it's not just like an out-and-out ban on the practice. Which,
Correct.
yeah. So, I mean, they clearly have taken time with it to try and narrowly tailor it, which is the language that they would have to probably come up with if they were fighting it in court, to the desired, the aims of the legislation. I mean, I'm not sure who, other than people that are going to be arguing this on a philosophical level, is going to have really an argument with the things they're trying to curtail.
Yeah. I mean, the free speech argument was the one that was used before.
Right. And that is at this point, it's a philosophical argument, because what they're curtailing isn't any activity, speech, or whatever, other than something that could be harmful to themselves or others, really. I mean, that's pretty narrow.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing that bugs me the most is that it's only a matter of time. If it hasn't happened already, it's only a matter of time before somebody gets hurt because somebody says, okay, I'll give you $1. And I see that from time to time. because what they do is you get stopped at the stoplight or whatever, and they walk up and down and they wave at you and they try to make eye contact with you and that sort of thing. And okay. But at some point when somebody holds out a $1 bill, they sort of sprint into action, or a $5 bill or whatever, bottle of water or whatever. And at some point, let's say 270 and Olive, you've got 2 lanes. And somebody stopped there, and somebody in that middle lane is going to say, oh, okay, here. And they sprint right in front of a car as somebody's trying to go with the green light, and somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time.
I mean, that's an inevitability. I feel like that is already covered by the fact that you're actually not supposed to be walking out into traffic.
Right.
With or without this law, you're not supposed to walk out into traffic. Now, what do you do in that situation? Well, first of all, if you're driving in that situation and you're on the inside lane, maybe don't.
Yeah.
Maybe don't invite someone to come out into your lane to
Right.
give them money. I mean, you could always circle back if you really want to give them something. So that's one option. But I don't know.
We've got time to percolate it in our head because Dennis Hancock's going to be with us at 7:05. And I told him, I said, this is one of the first things, if not the first thing I want to ask him about. Because this is Republican, Democrat, this has got plenty of support on the county council.
I think my biggest question is this really going to make an appreciable difference in terms of what we see?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at night, I mean, I would think that.
Yeah, but are we already seeing that? I guess my point is, and I don't see as much of it where I drive, but because there aren't as many panhandlers out in St. Charles County as there are in St. Louis County.
Correct.
But don't be aggressive, don't curse, don't whatever. Like I've not encountered those things anyway. I usually encounter someone sitting there with a sign asking for money.
Yeah.
I generally don't make eye contact because I don't want to get into the middle of that engagement in that setting. And that's it. I mean, so the behavior that they're curtailing, I guess, is stuff that I actually haven't encountered.
Yeah, I've encountered it in the city.
Okay.
I've encountered it downtown. But I haven't run into it in the county, just mostly because it's been at the intersections, and things like that. I'm trying to think, when was the last time that I did? Oh, you know what? I did. They weren't aggressive though. There was a guy who was sitting at the door at the grocery store, just kind of sitting there, curled up by the door, asking for money as people were coming in and out. And so this would then cover that if it's on private property. That would cover that. He wasn't being aggressive.
No, he just asking.
But then again, I'm also a fairly strong dude who has nothing to worry about from the guy. If I'm a mom with a little kid walking in, am I going to be a little uneasy with it? Maybe, but he wasn't really threatening anybody.
Yeah,
he was just asking.
I mean, you're just going to avoid
right.
to the extent that you can. It's not. I don't think it's anything that's going to raise major alarm bells. But.
Right. Yeah. But I have run into a couple situations downtown back when we were at the other station.
And that's usually when you're on foot, right?
Yes.
Because that's the thing. It's like I'm not on foot and traversing most of these areas. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm curious. Send me some notes here. What do y'all think? Do you agree? You disagree with this? We're going to talk to Dennis Hancock right around 7:05.
Hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but today is
Bump Day. Ooh, Jerome didn't even get in on that.
I know. Sorry, Jerome. But speaking of Jerome, we want you to send in your bump music requests for Flashback Friday to Jerome. Do we have a theme picked out yet?
Back to school songs.
Back to school. Very appropriate since this has been back to school time, back to school week. So send in your back to school songs to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
I thought of one that I'm sure is going to be requested and probably borderline inappropriate.
Hot for Teacher is not appropriate.
That one too. I thought of another one, but hey, I'm not saying that. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law, Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Statins lower cholesterol, but do you know how they actually work inside your body? And what if there were natural approaches that work through completely different biological pathways? This week, we're diving into cholesterol science you probably never learned. Don't miss it.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney. Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Tired of settling for generic fishing gear? Say hello to Bullseye Bait and Tackle, O'Fallon's one-stop shop for serious anglers. Live bait, premium tackle, rods, reels, and an unbeatable selection of lures from top brands like Megabass, Zoom, and Berkley. Whether you're after bass, catfish, crappie, or bluegill, they've got the gear to help you land the big one. Plus, their expert team, led by Mark and Liz, provides rod and reel repair services. Bullseye Bait and Tackle, 266 Fort Zumwalt Square, or at bullseyebaitantackle.net.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, folks, it's Chris Salcedo, your liberty-loving Latino on Newsmax. Hey, everybody likes Mike. Mike Ferguson in the morning, News Talk, STL.
Okay, quick follow-up. Allison on Rumble says she's had a homeless beggar tap on her windows because she wouldn't look at him.
Yeah, no.
And she goes, "Yeah,
that's inappropriate."
Yeah, it's happened for sure." Okay, so when voters speak, should it be a little harder for elected lawmakers to overturn that decision? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
So there's another proposed constitutional amendment again on the Missouri side. Illinois actually really limits the referendums and ballot questions that can be on the ballot. There's only so many that are allowed each election cycle. On the Missouri side, that's a whole different thing. There's another proposed constitutional amendment that you probably never heard of.
I'm sure.
We told you about Amendment 7 yesterday, which, by the way, that's on our podcast, and Senator Adam Schnelting gave us kind of the rundown on that if you want to see that. That is on the ballot. Have you guys heard of Amendment 6?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
It's not on the ballot. At least not at this point. It's another court case. So this is another one that Secretary of State Denny Hoskins rejected.
Okay.
So the bottom line, basic foundational parts of this, Susie, is that it appears that they have more than enough signatures to put the referendum on the ballot.
All right.
I don't know that anybody necessarily disagrees with that statement.
And does it pass constitutional muster? Because that's the other.
That's what Denny Hoskins says no.
Okay.
He says there are multiple topics log rolled into one, therefore he rejected it as unconstitutional.
Okay.
Okay, so this is another thing where the trial, the court lawsuit on this was heard yesterday.
All right.
This is not the congressional maps thing. Totally different one, but the courts have said we have to move through this, and so the arguments were made yesterday. The judge in the case says he's probably going to issue a ruling today.
Okay.
Knowing that there's going to be an appeal either way because they've got to settle it by September 8th to lock down what's going to be on the ballot. So here's if it makes it on the ballot, if voters say yes. Now, this goes back to, what was it? I guess it was 2024 that the minimum wage and the paid time off referendum passed in Missouri. The one that, increased the state's minimum wage and then also requires all employers, almost all, if you have like 3 people, it doesn't, but most employers, including almost all small businesses, to give paid time off based on how many hours somebody's working. You work X number of hours, then you bank this many PTO hours, and that was passed by voters and put into state law, not a constitutional amendment, but into state law.
Right.
Well, immediately in the next legislative session, the legislature stripped a lot of that out. They just passed a law saying no, which they can do. And so this amendment, Amendment 6, if passed, would say lawmakers would have to get 80% vote in both chambers in order to override a referendum that was passed by the people. So 80% of the House, 80% of the Senate would have to vote to override, as opposed to they just have to pass the bill now, and the governor would have to sign it. It's just more legislation. And this goes back to I don't know if you all, well, I know you wouldn't, Jerome, because you didn't live here yet, but back in the, was it 2010-ish? There was an animal rights referendum that was passed in Missouri, and it was packaged as an agriculture bill, but it really was an animal rights bill that was, Bob Barker was a spokesperson for it and all this kind of stuff. And the agriculture industry threw a fit. The animal rights activists, they weren't honest about it, and then Governor Nixon was still in office at the time.
Yeah.
And in almost record time, I mean, maybe it was record time, the legislature and the governor basically gutted it with legislation quickly after voters passed it.
Okay.
Now, that was the right policy, don't get me wrong, but voters had passed it. Now, just like with this minimum wage and PTO thing, I think voters made a mistake. It was bad policy, but it wasn't really close.
Yeah.
It wasn't close. And, the legislature gutted most of the key elements of that. And so this would basically add to the state constitution new rules and a higher bar for lawmakers to do that.
So, if I'm being intellectually honest, it's a lot easier to say, no, it shouldn't be, or yes, lawmakers should be able to do this if
it's a check and balance thing. Yeah.
Right. But what I'm saying is if I disagree with what the voters did, my instinct is going to be, yeah, they should be able to. But I've been on the other side of that. And where I agreed with what the voters did, and then the lawmakers came around behind and kind of did the exact opposite. And I do think that there probably should be a higher bar than just 50% plus one, kind of like overriding a veto.
Right.
Because it's another, like you said, check and balance thing. 80% seems really high to me. So to me, it takes 2/3 to override a veto?
Correct, yes.
Okay, to me, it should be that type of bar. And I know that that's going to probably not sit well with some people because we have a very Republican legislature, and most of the times, most of the legislation they're passing is something that those of us on the right appreciate. And sometimes the whole state, when it votes, the referendum language is squirrely and people vote for stuff and we're like, no, you don't understand what you just did. But, that's very paternalistic. And, you can only save voters from themselves so much. Sorry. It's the vote. It's their vote. So I think I'm okay with the idea of there being a higher bar than just the straight majority to overturn something that the voters just did. We were just talking about this in the opposite context with regard to St. Louis County and the voters on the tax proposition.
Yeah.
So it's like the voters keep saying no. And then, government keeps saying, well, but you don't really understand.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
The voters put you in office, so maybe you don't understand.
What do you think, Jerome?
I mean, it is a very thin line. I guess it depends on what the legislation is or the what's being voted on, because there are times where, at least in my experience, people don't fully understand what they are supporting, and it's sometimes a good thing to have the government say, wait, this is a very bad idea. And then on the opposite end, of course, when voters are very well informed and they want something, even if it might be counterproductive to what they should want, if they truly understand what they're voting for, I don't think the government should just be able to sit in there and say, we're not doing that now.
Okay, so here, and I'm just going to ask a devil's advocate question. Who decides when we feel the voters are well informed and not well informed? Is it just when they vote the way we like or don't like? How do we determine that?
Well, we don't exactly really have a test. I mean, if it was like I don't want to say like a fill in the blank, like write in, like, hey, what do you think that this does?
Yeah, it's yes or no. I mean, it's
the problem with that, and I understand where you're coming from, and I think that's what our instinct is. But the problem is you can't measure for that. It has to be a policy that applies, whether it's something you think people know what they're talking about or you don't. The voters ultimately get to be the decider. I mean, one way or the other, they also get to decide versus, via who they elect into office. But I do think that there should be some mechanism by which if the voters say, no, this is what we want, even if it's stupid dumb, that's what they get.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the line you draw is, okay, is somebody violating somebody's rights? I mean, listen, there are things we could take a vote on. It'd be really popular to violate somebody's rights, be it First Amendment or Second Amendment or whatever the case is, depending on where you are.
Sure.
I mean, you could do that, and you don't have a right by Democratic voter or by majority to take away somebody's rights. In this case, these were just policy things.
Yeah.
The minimum wage thing that voters approved was bad policy.
And that means things that I don't like would be on the books.
Right. And they were on the books. I mean, the PTO thing, this was going to be really bad for small businesses in particular. But I remember when I said at the time when the Republicans, repealed it, and we had, folks on from the small business associations and all this kind of stuff. And I kind of debated them. I'm like, listen, I agree with you on the policy. I think voters blew it. However, this wasn't really that close. How do we argue and defend voters? You just said this, but we say you're wrong, and therefore we're just going to override what you did.
You really can't.
Right.
Yeah, there has to be some degree of suffering the consequences of your own decisions in order for people to potentially, hopefully, learn or at least improve their judgment-making abilities. But even then, I mean, with this particular one, if you're putting businesses out, if you're making it harder for them to grow and expand and to be able to sustain the actual local economy, then even the people that were against it are going to suffer. So at some point, I don't like the idea of government having to protect you from yourself, but when it's that catastrophic, then what other alternatives are there?
Yeah, I mean,
then you come back around with another referendum to
which is what we did.
We're doing with Amendment 3.
Which is what we did with Clean Missouri.
Yeah, with Clean Missouri, exactly. That's a really good example.
Clean Missouri was a god-awful, horrific, dishonest, and I know the guy who wrote the thing and ran the campaign. It was horrific. And so what happened is the state lawmakers put Cleaner Missouri on the ballot the next election cycle, and voters, after getting a couple years of going, hey, or was it just 1 year?
I think it was just 1 year.
1 year. I think it was just 1 year. And then the voters were like, oh, yeah, okay. And then they voted to fix it. And so there's that aspect of it, as well. But, yeah, I mean, there's the way that the districts are drawn at the state legislative level, there's not a big risk to doing this, to overriding the thing. Now, here's another thing. Like you mentioned, should it mirror a veto override? I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Another possibility, and I don't know if this is a good or bad idea, it just kind of popped in my head, which, God knows where this is going to go when weird stuff pops in my head. Let's say if something passes with a 5% margin, which is, pretty good margin. The state legislature would have to, if they're going to undo it, it'd have to be a 6% margin. If it passes with an 8% margin, then they'd have to have a 9% margin in the state legislature. If something passes, I don't know, by 80-20, like just happened, they'd have to pass it with 81%.
Yeah.
Although that was a constitutional amendment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like something. I think your idea is better than mine on that. I'm just throwing a bunch out there.
That might be really hard doing all the math on that.
Yeah.
Another round of primary elections are in the books, giving us an update on how the midterms are shaping up. We'll give you that overview coming up here at 6:35.
Cry out for the pain. Doesn't matter anymore if what we say is true. It happened if I say it.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We hear about wokeness, but let me just say, we woke up.
On Newstalk STL. From the Newstalk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures towards the lower 80s. Scattered showers and storms continue throughout the remainder of the morning hours. Then we're looking at a secondary potential round by the afternoon, evening hours, looking at some isolated showers and storms. Best chance for some stronger wind gusts going to be south of Jefferson County and areas back towards Arkansas. The rest of the region, though, going to continue dry out as we head off to Thursday morning. Dry conditions, temperatures into the mid-80s throughout the upcoming second half of the week into the weekend. Maybe a spot shower possible Saturday morning, but we dry out really quickly, looking at partly sunny skies. Beautiful weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
Calling all Patriots. Join the St. Louis County Republicans for the annual Lincoln Reagan Day Dinner, Saturday, September 19th at River City Casino. Our keynote speaker, Newsmax personality Rob Carson. Enjoy a full night of fun and information alongside state and local officials and candidates. It's an evening you won't want to miss. Dinner and program, just $75. For tickets, email Renee Artman at hotmail.com or call 314-398-6667.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serving St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis. And listen anytime. News Talk STL right on my phone. Anywhere.
I'm Congressman Bob Onder, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Florida Republicans pick Byron. Alaska Republicans pick Dan. That Dan, not the other.
The right Dan.
The other, not the other Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Just that Dan.
Mm-hmm.
They picked Dan, not Dan.
They picked Dan Sullivan, not Dan Sullivan.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
Right.
That. A little more specific and things like that. Okay, so primary elections, another round of those, like Jerome said, in the books here at this point. I don't know that there were any big surprises. There were a couple interesting things, though.
Yeah.
Because, what's his scoundrel face? He got booted to the curb. The one that had the scandals, the Republican.
You're going to have to be more specific.
Shoot. Yeah, really.
Corey Mills.
Corey Mills. Yeah, Corey Mills. He got the boot.
Yeah.
That's like, obviously a lot of conservative talk is like, yeah, get rid of that Republican, but it was time for him to go.
Yes.
Long past time for him.
Long
to go.
past time.
Yeah.
Talk about toxic.
Right, and I don't even care what his voting record is. You just don't want people like that in leadership.
No. Yeah. Absolutely. No, I think the biggest fun part of yesterday was Alexander Vindman going down in flames.
Okay, remind everybody. I know that almost there's a lot of people like, wait a minute, I know that name. I know that. Remind everybody who that guy is.
Okay, so I'm going to be really mean here for a second.
Smarmy. Sort of,
those of a certain age are going to know who I mean when I say ferret face. That applies to Frank Burns from MASH, but I always thought of ferret face whenever I saw Alexander Vindman's visage on the TV, and we saw it a lot back in around 2018-ish or so, because he was the key figure in the first impeachment of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He was the one who basically, was the whistleblower, I guess, that reported on the troubling call between Donald Trump and Vladimir Zelensky that set that whole thing in motion. And so he kind of became a folk hero on the left and an odious creature. I can't stand the guy. His brother, Eugene, his twin brother, who ran and got elected to Congress in Virginia. And then Alexander carpetbagged down to Florida and ran as Alex Vindman, raised $16 million to take on the DSA candidate, Angie Nixon, and went down in flames.
Man, do you think, now not that we're going to know for sure, but does that anti him, or is that more momentum of the DSA candidate?
Oh, that's it. I think it's a couple things.
Yeah.
I think it is momentum for DSA.
Sure.
I don't think she stands a snowball's chance in hell against Ashley Moody.
Not in the no, because this is U.S. Senate.
This is U.S. Senate.
Yeah.
Ashley Moody's been in the seat now for
Yeah.
2 years. She's well liked. She's well respected in Florida.
Right.
I don't think she's in peril at all.
No.
And I don't think Angie Nixon. I started to call her Dixon. That's policewoman.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to present all that well as a candidate. I think she's a little bit on the. I mean, Lulu.
Not in Florida. Yeah.
She's a little Lulu, but she did soundly trounce Alexander Vindman, who again isn't a Floridian.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess he moved down there, but Florida is about as red as it comes as far as like being pro-Trump country and that sort of thing. And people know who Vindman is. I mean, if you paid attention at all, you know who he is.
You remember him? He's the one where he was doing one of his hearings and testimony, and he did this smarmy look on his face, body language, where he kind of like
no, that's Peter Strzok.
Oh, that was Strzok. That Vindman didn't do that?
No.
I could have sworn Vindman
As soon
did
as you
that
started
too.
saying it, I'm like, and you did the little back and forth thing.
Yeah.
No, that's Peter Strzok.
That wasn't Vindman. Oh, I thought Vindman did
But
something
he's
like that,
done
too.
some obnoxious stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but Peter Strzok is the one that there's like gifs of it and everything with
Yeah.
him, and it's kind of almost like really weird, creepy thing.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
that's
very creepy,
Peter
yeah.
Strzok.
Oh, I thought that was Vindman.
No. But Ferret Face, I think, is
all these white liberals look alike to me. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. I'm very that was very gratifying to see.
Yeah, and that, like you said, that one wasn't even
Wasn't close.
Yeah, exactly. Now, of course, yeah, I think you're right. Ashley Moody is going to be. I mean, she replaced
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio when he became Secretary of State. So this will be her first election.
Correct.
So she's not being re-elected; she'd be elected in this case. And then, speaking of Florida, to really nobody's surprise, Byron Donalds wins the Republican
Pretty handily.
nomination, and he is most likely going to be the next governor of Florida.
Yeah, his opponent will be David Jolly, who's an ex-Republican, who was a never Trump Republican, who suddenly became a Democrat. And so, I mean, Jolly got 760,000 votes. That seems like a lot.
For a whole state.
61%, yeah. But Donald's got 810,000, and that was a more split
four-way race.
Well, it was even more than that, even. So, yeah, I don't think Byron Donalds is going to be.
No.
I think he's going to probably have a pretty sound victory there.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and there's been a few things that I've not agreed with Byron Donalds. Overall, I really hope he turns out to be what I think he can be.
Yeah.
On this, I mean, I think he can be a rising star, not even just in the party, but I think if he locks in, knowing that he's in a very red state, that he becomes a leader in the conservative movement.
He's got big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
and I'm saying that jokingly because everyone used to make fun of Ron DeSantis in his shoes, but he really does.
Yeah.
DeSantis has done a bang up job as the governor of that state, and so that's going to be tough.
Yeah, see, and that's where I was going with that, because with DeSantis, I mean, remember when he came in 2 terms ago, Florida was purple but more reddish.
Trending
purple.
red.
It is red now, and it is because of Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, I would argue, has been the best governor in the country when it comes to conservatives, and I think he's shown himself to be a phenomenal leader. Even though he's been, very, very, I mean, he's very, very protective of Republican Party. He's definitely, but I think as far as leadership, I think he's been outstanding. And I'm not making, I want to see who's all in the 2028 race. I suspect he's going to run on this, but I think he's been incredibly impressive, especially not even just if you're Republican, but if you are conservative and you're like, hey, can the conservative movement have a resurgence in the Republican Party? If it is, it's going to be because of people like DeSantis. And so now that's the tone that he's set in Florida for future governors, future Republicans.
And my advice to any Republican governor would be to be like Ron.
Yeah.
He's done a great job. And it's going to be hard act to follow. Debbie Wasserman Schultz won her district, which was a redrawn district, which was supposed there were like 3 or 4 minority candidates running, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and then so it's a minority district, and she won. And I suspect there's some people that are a little undone about this.
My understanding is, because she was being called a carpetbagger and all that kind of stuff. So when they redrew the districts, and this is one of those where I want to be kind of fair, if they redrew the districts, and this was one of those, President Trump, like Missouri, President Trump wants more seats in Congress, so redraw the districts to gerrymander. And so when you redraw the districts, I'm not as freaked out if suddenly you draw the lines and somebody doesn't live on that side of the thing anymore, because in most states you just have to be a resident of the state to run for the seat. And so I don't know if she actually lives in that district or not. I mean, it's a Republican heavy district now. I think she's on her way out.
Yeah, so she would have been in District 25, which was now more Republican friendly. So
Right.
she switched. So, and I think what she did was legal, but I think it also was one of those maybe not a great look kind of
Kind of like what
things.
Lauren Boebert did then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because Lauren Boebert switched to run for a different district that she
Mhm.
doesn't live in because she was probably going to lose the primary in the district in which she lived.
Yeah.
And then she won the primary in another district.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so similar situation, and that's caused, ruffled some feathers. Harriet Hageman sailed to victory in the Senate race in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Sullivan is in second place in Alaska because they've got ranked choice voting.
Right.
So it'll be Mary Peltola, who's the Democrat, versus Dan Sullivan, the incumbent senator, in November, I guess, facing off. I think that's how that works.
And I know that I saw some Democratic websites and social media saying Alaska's our chance for a pickup. I mean, Alaska's Republican, but not super conservative.
No, correct. 'Cause
Yeah.
So witness Lisa Murkowski.
Right, yeah.
Mary Peltola was their representative for at least one term of Congress, and
Mhm.
she's a Democrat.
Yeah.
So she's, pretty much represents herself as a moderate Democrat, and she's, I guess, pretty highly respected around Alaska too. So when you look at the breakdown of the votes, I mean, again, Alaska has that ranked choice voting, which they have got on the ballot in November to take off again. They came within 700 votes of taking it off last time around. But yeah, if you look at the vote totals, she got like 48% of the vote. Dan Sullivan, the incumbent, the real Dan Sullivan, got 42.8%, and then fake Dan Sullivan got 2.4%. So even the two Dan Sullivans combined don't top Mary Peltola, but that doesn't mean that's what it's going to look like in November.
Right.
So I mean, that might be a really close race.
Yeah. So you've got implications, at the midterm as to how things are going to shake out there.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That's a huge one.
Every Senate seat counts. We're on a very thin margin, so that's going to be a very hard fought race, and that probably means there's going to be a lot of money flowing into Alaska of all places.
Yeah.
Because there's fewer votes there,
Mhm.
so you got to pick up everybody.
You mentioned that she was their representative.
Mhm.
There are some states the population is so small they get 2 senators and 1 member of the House.
Wyoming is one, Alaska is another.
Yeah, and then
So it's at large.
Yeah, for the whole state.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's that makes a big difference. So it's not like she won a district and has to tell everybody else who she is. They know who she is.
They know who she is. Yeah. So that's going to be a hard fought race.
Yeah, so I think we know how most things are going to turn out if all of them are in Florida. Alaska's going to be a wild card among a few of the others out there. So this is
Wyoming will not be a wild card.
Wyoming will not be a wild
It will
card.
not be. No. Okay, I'm reading this and it's making me sad.
Yeah, when I tell you the rest of the story, it'll make you sad.
A reward is offered in the case of abandoned guinea pigs, which sounds humorous, but I don't think it is.
No, it's not.
It's not just that they were abandoned, it's how they were abandoned that has some people upset. We'll tell you about that in the news dump at 6:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Smart people know it. Stupid people may not know it.
On News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA. So we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't hate, don't
it's vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
There's an old way to buy a mattress, and there's a snooze way. Remember folding out those giant paper maps? You'd spread one across the dashboard, miss a turn, fold it the wrong way, and somehow end up in Illinois instead of Indiana. Today, you trust GPS, because it gives you better information. At Snooze Mattress Company, we think buying a mattress should work the same way. That's why we use advanced pressure mapping technology to help match your body to the right sleep system. When you sleep better, everything gets better.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, you've seen them in their cardboard signs around the area. Now a lot of the begging they do at intersections could become illegal, at least in St. Louis County. Basic details right now, and then we're going to talk to Dennis Hancock about it at 7:05. So who's responsible when cyberbullying happens? Social media is on trial. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cardinals building some momentum right now.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they've been up and down, but they have streaks. And right now they're on a good one. 6:48 right now. Let's go ahead and do a news dump, shall we?
The Morning News Dump brought to you by the Nutrition Stop.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Aggressive panhandling could be illegal again in St. Louis County. While some cities have banned that, a previous attempt by the county government to do so was vetoed by Sam Page in 2023. So the new ordinance passed 6-1. It outlaws asking for money in an aggressive manner, bans begging for money in roadways and within 15 feet of an ATM, among other restrictions. It is likely to be challenged in court.
Yeah, my suspicion is that the way it's worded, it should hold up based on what's been described anyway. But
and some cities have similar ones that have been held up as well. So we'll talk to Dennis Hancock about that in just a little bit here. Okay, a decision could come today in a lawsuit over the proposed Amendment 6. That's one of the referendum efforts Secretary of State Denny Hoskins rejected. If passed, if it goes onto the ballot, and if it passes, it would raise the vote threshold required for state lawmakers to overturn laws approved by voters to 80%. Hoskins declared the proposal to be unconstitutional. Arguments were heard Tuesday in Cole County Court, and the judge indicated that he may issue a decision today because it's likely to be appealed regardless of his ruling. And by state law, the deadline to set the ballot for the November election is September 8th.
Okay.
Yeah, got a lot of stuff moving pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else do we got going on? Oh, Minnesota's Attorney General, Keith Ellison, suing Texas Governor Greg Abbott, trying to get the extradition of an ICE agent who shot a man in Minneapolis last January. And the ICE agent is accused of making false statements regarding the circumstances leading up to the shooting.
Well, that is interesting.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, this is the one where they initially described a situation where they were attacked by people with a broom and all this stuff. And then when everything kind of came to light, it wasn't quite that clear cut.
Yeah.
And that is a problem. I'm interested in the legal fight there over
the extradition. Yeah.
Yeah, that's unusual.
Yeah, Governor Abbott saying, you know what, he doesn't have a whole lot of use for Minnesota or their lawsuits or their demands.
Well, listen, while they're making demands, I got a demand of my own, and that is it's time for Minnesota to step up and repay the United States of America and Americans for all the fraud that they've committed in their state under federal programs.
Yeah, a little bit of redirection, but point well taken.
I don't disagree with him on that. I'm just not sure that there's a legit legal basis wherein amongst the states you're able to that. Aren't you harboring a criminal?
That's what Ellison's arguing, basically.
He might be right on this. As much as I think he's an odious character, I don't. I'll have to look at that a little bit more.
All right, Florida Congressman Byron Donalds won the Florida Republican gubernatorial primary, defeating candidate Jay Collins. Byron Donalds was then on Fox's Fox at Night with Trace Gallagher, and here's just part of his reflection of that win.
As a Republican Party, we have set the standard here in Florida. Ron DeSantis has done a great job as governor, and it's about keeping the wins that he's brought to our state going forward, but also building for our future, making sure that we can balance the growth with our agricultural lands and our conservation areas.
So Byron Donalds is now going to be up against Democratic nominee David Jolly this coming November. Let's just say that Byron Donalds would be heavily favored to win that race at this point.
He should be, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to be in pretty good shape. Let's see here. What else do we have going on? Okay, Facebook and Instagram's parent company, Meta, facing a lawsuit. That trial began in California on Tuesday. 4 states' attorneys general are suing the company, accusing them of not doing enough to protect young users from bullying and sextortion and other harms experienced on social media. So among the accusations by the states are those supporting the lawsuit is the argument that the company lied about the dangers to vulnerable kids. Meta denies any wrongdoing, and their attorneys are arguing that the company has worked to improve safety on the platforms.
That is going to be an interesting, and I'm sure it's going to go on for weeks and weeks, maybe months, case. And I was talking with Tony about this yesterday on his show. I don't know enough about what the different evidence is that they're going to bring forward because, ultimately the end user has a certain degree of responsibility, significant degree of responsibility. The parents, if you're talking about children. But yeah, that could have far-reaching effects on social media platforms.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And this is being heard in Oakland, California, and California is actually one of the states involved. It's 4 different states, but there's red and blue states.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a partisan lawsuit,
right? Okay, police in O'Fallon, Missouri, say somebody put 4 guinea pigs in plastic balls. Like the ones that you would put a hamster in, just bigger ones. Okay. So they put them in plastic balls and then abandoned them along Old Highway N near Hawk Ridge Trail earlier this month. It gets worse. At the time, it was over 90 degrees when somebody spotted them on the side of the road.
Oh.
Yeah. 3 of the animals died. Now, if found, the person responsible could face cruelty to animal charges. And the animal control in O'Fallon, Missouri seems... Now, I don't know that they're having a whole lot of hope of finding the person, but they want information on this. PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, an organization with which I think is typically useless and, frankly, dishonest in how they handle their money and run their business. But they are offering up to $5,000 in reward money for information that leads to the arrest and conviction in the case.
Somebody probably knows.
Yeah.
Not just whoever did this, but somebody else. Either a family member or, acquaintance knows who did this.
Here's what I don't get. Abandoning your pets is bad enough. And if you go and you set 4 guinea pigs out on the side of the road, and that's a fairly rural, beyond suburban, somewhere between suburban and rural area out there, you know what? A hawk or a coyote or a fox or something is going to find him.
Yeah.
Most likely. Why put him in the plastic little thing and let it run around for God knows how long, trapped in that ball?
I don't
That's the part that's just gross.
I don't know. That just makes me want to beat somebody up.
Yeah, you grab that sound clip right there. I think we're gonna that may have to go in one of the intros that you make.
That's
when you
awful.
Stuff
and if you're out there, you're a horrible person.
Yeah, that's just needlessly cruel. If you don't want the guinea pigs and
turn them in.
Turn them in. Even letting them go would have been bad, but it would have been,
You can't let domesticated animals like that just let them go.
Yeah, you could rehome them. You could something.
You could. Sure, you can turn them in.
Yeah, somebody would take them. All right, you probably know this one. Yep, us Gen Xers grew up with his music. ZZ Top's Frank Beard died at the age of 77.
I feel out of place. I don't have a beard.
You know, neither did he. He was the one guy
one that
who did not have a beard, and his last name is actually Beard.
The irony.
Yeah. He was the band's drummer for 57 years.
Wow.
Yeah. 57 years.
That's amazing.
With the same band. Matter of fact, in a 2019 interview, he gave a very simple reason when asked why he stayed with the same band for half a century.
I'm still satisfied with them. I'm satisfied with Dusty, and I'm satisfied with Billy. With these two guys, I've never wanted to quit, and I never wanted to get fired. I'll drink to that.
All right, Frank Beard was the one without the long beard, like I said. Bandmate Dusty Hill died in 2021, leaving Billy Gibbons as the only surviving member of ZZ Top. Cardinals have won 4 of their last 5 games. Yeah, last night they beat the Reds 3-0. Kyle Leahy did get his 10th win of the season. Mason Wynn hit a home run. Redbirds are 3 games back in the wild card race. They play the Reds again today at 5:40. Matthew Liberatore getting the start. He's 5-10 on the year. Need to get something going, Kyle. Come on, let's go. Freedom. Freedom is not just a patriotic slogan. It's what allows families to thrive, entrepreneurs to create jobs, and allows students to pursue their dreams, and of course, allows communities to grow stronger. So imagine a Missouri where hard work is rewarded, businesses can grow, parents can have more choices for their kids' education, and young people can build their future right here at home in the Show Me State. That's the vision driving Americans for Prosperity Missouri. We're working alongside citizens just like you all across the state to advance policies that expand opportunity, protect freedom, and remove barriers to success. Learn more at afpmissouri.com. Once again, that's afpmissouri.com. And be sure to connect with us on all of the social media platforms. Just do a search. Americans for Prosperity, Missouri.
Mark your calendar for the annual Leadership for America Dinner 2026, Friday, September 25th at the St. Charles Convention Center Grand Ballroom. Join News Talk STL for an unforgettable evening featuring keynote speaker Nick Shirley, the independent journalist who exposed the alleged fraud in Minneapolis, plus additional speakers and guests. Dinner's included, so come hungry for great food and bold ideas. For tickets and more information, visit newstalkstl.com.
Summer's here, and so is the freshest produce in town. At Anthony's Produce, we specialize in locally grown fruits and vegetables, straight from the farm to your table. Homegrown tomatoes, sweet corn, juicy cantaloupe, watermelon, and peaches, just to name a few. Plus, thousands of locally made products you won't find anywhere else. Need a fruit or vegetable tray for your next gathering? We've got you covered. Anthony's Produce on Jungerman Road or at anthonysproduce.com. Open 7 days a week.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Primary voters in Florida have chosen a Democratic socialist over the establishment-backed candidate in the Democrat U.S. Senate primary. State lawmaker Angie Nixon soundly defeated Alexander Vindman. President Trump is cheering the defeat of Vindman, who was a chief witness at the Trump impeachment proceedings. Nixon and GOP Senator Ashley Moody will face off in November. Backed by President Trump early on, Congressman Byron Donalds has won the Republican governor's primary in Florida. Saying he's committed to keeping Florida red and free, he also vows to keep taxes low and to protect school choice, adding that he'll have law enforcement's back. President Trump is getting something he asked for.
South Korea has said U.S.-South Korean joint drills will be sharply scaled back and will end on Friday, not August the 27th, as originally planned. The agreement to cut down the drills came at the request of the U.S. President Donald Trump had ordered cuts to the drills just before they began on Monday. Trump cited what he said was a good relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korea's refusal to join the U.S. war against Iran. I'm Karen Shemas.
If you ordered something from Amazon in the not-too-distant future, your package may be coming down from above. Millions more people will be able to get smaller, lightweight packages delivered by drones by year's end. Amazon is planning to expand airborne shipping to the suburbs of almost 500 American cities by the end of the year. Strong fiscal second quarter for retailer Target, with new merchandise, more foot traffic, and a $994 million tariff refund, boosting Target's bottom line. On Wall Street, the Dow futures are up 55 points, NASDAQ futures down 72. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Progressive presents the Museum of You.
We begin our tour with a unique piece, a relic from the early big screen television era. Remarkable. Next, we find a juicer, which historians believe has only ever been used once. And finally, compact discs from the emo era. A rare find indeed.
Some things should be history, but until then you could protect what's important to you and save by bundling your auto insurance with a renter's policy from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Hey, y'all, I'm Willie Robertson.
And I'm Corey Robertson.
We partnered with Echo. It's a new platform, not just streaming.
Movies and series that are safe for your family. I love a podcast.
Plus, Echo Daily Devotionals.
Echo. Hey, Willie, what is Echo?
Echo is not pet squirrel. Okay, Echo is not just faith-friendly, it is faith-driven.
Be a part of something better.
Echo.
Echo.
Where I want to be. That's EKKL.com.
Subscribe now.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures towards the lower 80s. Scattered showers and storms continue throughout the remainder of the morning hours. Then we're looking at a secondary potential round by the afternoon, evening hours, looking at some isolated showers and storms. Best chance for some stronger wind gusts going to be south of Jefferson County and areas back towards Arkansas. The rest of the region, though, going to continue dry out as we head off to Thursday morning. Dry conditions, temperatures into the mid-80s throughout the upcoming second half of the week into the weekend. Maybe a spot shower possible Saturday morning, but we dry out really quickly, looking at partly sunny skies. Beautiful weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
Looking for unbelievable deals? Stop by Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis or Warrenton. Open 7 days a week. Discover big savings on a huge variety of merchandise with no hassle. Just great prices. Visit us in Lake St. Louis on Highway N or in Warrenton on Boones Lake. Check out our Facebook page at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis or go online to OverstockOutletSTL.com. Unbeatable value, friendly service, and you never know what we'll have at Overstock Outlet.
Mike Ferguson.
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donut, sir. A jelly donut?
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, everybody. Sam Page has warned me about what could happen unless we follow his lead on some things. I mean, you think about it. Will St. Louis County police officers soon have to panhandle just to get by? Because the county is out of money to pay them. And if so, who's going to arrest them and write them citations for panhandling?
Good point.
The problems we deal with.
They shouldn't do it aggressively, whatever they do.
That's right. Okay, Dennis Hancock from the St. Louis County Council is here with us. Obviously, you know he's running for county executive as well. Let me start with the panhandling thing. Last night, you all passed 6-1, passed the ordinance to ban the aggressive panhandling. And, of course, people can go and find the coverage of what all that entails. We can get into a little bit of that. Okay, Sam Page vetoed this idea before, but now you got the votes to override. There have been some legal challenges to this before, some stuff struck down. Okay, what's different about this one, and why is it important to get this passed? Because you do have to worry about, some degree of free speech type of stuff, but does this narrowly tailor the solution to the problem without going too far, Dennis?
I think it does, Mike. I think that what we've done is we've said it's okay to stand on a sidewalk at an intersection and hold a sign that says I'm hungry, I need money for food, or whatever this, or solicit for the Knights of Columbus or any organization or individual can stand on a sidewalk, and that protects their free speech rights. What this ordinance does is it says you can't walk out in the middle of the street and bang on windows and otherwise try to intimidate people into giving you money. So I think that there's a balance there. We're probably going to get sued. Everybody sues everybody over everything these days. But I think that this one has been very carefully crafted. I think Councilman Archer did a nice job with it, and we'll see where we end up.
Good morning, Dennis. This is Susie Moore.
Morning.
I understand the vote was 6-1. What was the? And I know Lisa Clancy was the one. Was the no vote.
I wonder who the one was.
But what was? I mean, what was the objection to this? Is it still the concern that somehow it's not going to pass constitutional muster, or what's the issue?
Well, she mentioned that, but Lisa's no more of a constitutional lawyer than I am. So I think there are people that will argue both sides of it, and I'm sure that that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Her primary objection seemed to be that we're targeting people who are poor and down on their luck and those sorts of things. But I drive by a lot of places every day with help wanted signs in the windows. It seems like if somebody was looking for a job, it'd be pretty easy to find one.
Well, not to mention there are all sorts of social services, both public and private, out there. And that's kind of a separate discussion, but it just seems like Larry Rice in his arguments against this is conflating those two. Personally, I think if you're handing money to somebody outside, you're actually not helping them in any way, shape, or form. But that's my personal philosophy on this. What we're talking about here is what are they allowed to do and not to do, and talk about how this extends past those intersections a little bit. We're talking about ATMs, we're talking about private property, we're talking about bus stops and things like that. So in one way, what was passed was kind of expanded, but in another way, it was more narrowly tailored, which I think was an interesting balance.
Yeah, it did extend beyond just the intersections. It goes, as you said, Mike, it goes to ATMs. It helps people feel safer when they're transacting business in St. Louis County, which is the number one concern that people tell me every day that they have, which is their safety while they're out in public. And so this hopefully will help make them feel a little bit more secure when they're out conducting business.
I feel like we're at the point where we might start counting down the days till Sam Page is no longer the county executive, and hopefully Dennis Hancock becomes the new county executive. But either way, one of his big arguments right now is that we're running out of money to pay police. And I'm sure listeners want to know why is that? Why is the only potential answer to that once again trying to raise taxes that the voters have shot down over and over again?
Well, I think that, this is just another example of every time something doesn't go his way, Sam Page immediately goes to the worst case scenario that he can possibly dream up to try to scare people into doing his bidding. I've said publicly, Mark Harder has said publicly, we're not supporting any cuts to the police because public safety is people's number one concern. Sam Page has tried throughout the course of this whole year to do things that will either inconvenience the public or scare them. We cut the hours back for public interaction at the county headquarters. The office now closes at 3:00 every day, and it's closed all day on Friday, even though that particular action didn't save a dime because the employees are still working inside the building. So it's not like that was a huge cost savings, but it was designed to make it inconvenient for people, so they would reach out, contact the county council, and complain about it. Frankly, I haven't gotten everybody recognizes who's really at fault there. And I haven't gotten any complaints other than it makes it more difficult for people to come and do business. Like things like pay their tax bills, which we have enough trouble processing anyway.
We're visiting with Dennis Hancock, St. Louis County Councilman, and as I'm sure you know now, the Republican nominee for county executive. Okay, let me go back to the police thing. Sam Page says money's going to run out to pay police in full by the end of the year. And I think he meant the calendar year on that, not the fiscal year. But either way, by the end of the year, is the county going to run out of money in the budget to pay the police and pay for the costs?
No. We probably will have to shuffle some money around into the police account, but we have money. We have other departments that are underspent for the year, and so we have money to shift around just like we do every year at this time. You have some departments that are underspent. You have some departments that have had things happen that they need a little bit more money towards the fourth quarter. And so we go through this every year. So I'm not sure why all of a sudden this is a crisis, other than I think it's Sam Page preparing us for the budget that he's supposed to provide to us on October 1st, because I'm sure it's going to have major cuts to the police department. And so this is his way of signaling that he's done everything he can to avoid it, but the council just is standing in his way and won't let him do what he wants to do.
Poor Sam Page.
Yeah, the answer to the question, though, Susan, is 142.
There you go. There you go. You're counting too, huh? All right, I'm going to start marking them down and crossing them off. Yeah. So in those days, while you are still with us on the council, what are the big agenda items the council is still looking to tackle in the next, couple months?
Well, I think the biggest one is the budget. The budget process has expanded over the last few years to now, because Sam Page has just given us garbage to work with. So we've had to actually build the budget pretty much from the ground up, which means meetings with department heads, meetings with experts, meeting with the financial people on both the administration side and our side to come up with a workable budget that's going to be beneficial to the residents of St. Louis County. So we will be working on that starting in October. In the meanwhile, we've done things like eliminated the requirement for seniors to reapply for the tax freeze every year, which will help them enormously. And that's retroactive back to January 1st. If you were eligible on January 1st, you don't have to reapply this year. So we were able to get that through. So I think we've got a few things in the books that are in the works that are that we're looking at, but probably the biggest thing between now and the end of the year is going to be the budget.
Yes, yeah. And Susie's mom thanks you for getting rid of that renewal.
Susie thanks you because Susie has to help walk through it every year. So thank you very much.
And Dennis, speaking of the budget stuff, there's been a dust up between Sam Page and State Representative Jim Murphy over Prop P funds. Jim Murphy is basically saying, where's the money? Where did all that go? That was all for law enforcement. And Sam Page, says, hey, here's the documents. Here's where it is. And Jim Murphy, I don't think, is completely sold on that. What is the status of the Prop P funds?
Well, I think it's an interesting question. I think that we've looked at the amount of money that we get from Prop P every year. It's been going to various functions of the police. I think from what I saw, Representative Murphy's big concern are those items what was intended by Prop P, or was Prop P sold to do things like make sure we have 2 officers in a police car in certain areas of St. Louis County, because that hasn't been done. And so, and I think that, the big question here is how much credibility does Sam Page really have with anybody these days as far as budgets or anything else is concerned? And I don't think anybody's buying anything he's selling.
No, I mean, and when he constantly loses 6-1, and 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats are on the same page on everything, no pun intended, that he's just not relevant at this point as much as I think some media want to make him relevant.
Well, I think what's interesting is he has his weekly press conferences, and the number of reporters is shrinking week over week over week. So I think they're getting tired of hearing the same nonsense as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dennis, let's put the website out there, social media out there. Obviously, you're in the midst of another campaign here, but I appreciate you being on today and giving us that update because, at this point, we know things are going to change. In some ways, I suspect it's going to change for the better, regardless of whether it's you or Jake in there. I mean, obviously, you would be a vast improvement over where we're at with Sam Page. But, at the same time, then, if you've got a county executive that, there could be a little more division by partisan stuff. I hope not, because it's one of the rare partisan elected boards that get along beyond party lines, and I've always been impressed with that.
Well, I appreciate that. It's been hard work over the years to get everybody to pull in the same direction, but we've worked well together, and I think that you're going to see that as we work through the budget process again. For the campaign, if people want to find out more information, the website is hancockforcountyexecutive.com.
Easy enough. We'll talk to you again soon, Dennis. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Dennis. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a Walmart drone delivery machine. At 7:20, we're going to compare how different communities around St. Louis seem to have different takes on that idea.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark it is no more. And all at once depart. No destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop right now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL.
Before you blow us all away.
Colombo and Company.
A lot of the local political chatter is starting to focus on Amendment 3 as we approach the midterms. We'll dig into it Wednesday with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd. Plus, we'll have some fun and open closest cabin.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Chris Arps. Becky and I recently discovered a restaurant that's quickly become one of our go-to restaurants, Timothy's in Creve Coeur. Led by executive chef Will Mabry, Timothy's serves contemporary American cuisine with a touch of Southern charm. Dishes like pastrami, smoked lamb, and shrimp and grits. My wife absolutely loved the lobster pot pie, and everything we've tried has been incredible. Amazing house-made desserts and over 500 wines to choose from. Enjoy dinner 7 nights a week, plus lunch, brunch, and private events. Timothy's in Creve Coeur at 12710 Olive Boulevard or online at timothysstl.com.
All right, guys, it's Susie Moore here to talk to you about windows. If you've been thinking about replacement windows, you want to know you're dealing with a company that can give you service and a product that you can rely on, a company and a product that you can trust in. So let's talk about that product. Window World windows are durable, they're secure, they're energy efficient, they're built with double-strength glass, which is not typical for replacement windows. They also come with a lifetime warranty, and that covers parts, glass, breakage, labor. They don't just do windows either. They cover basically everything on the exterior of your home except for a garage door or a roof. Plus, like I said, you want to go with a company you can trust. Well, with Window World, you've got a company that has a big commitment to customer service. Their customer service team is available 7 days a week, and that shows because over half their customers are repeats or referrals. They've helped improve the look and energy efficiency of over 80,000 homes right here in St. Louis. Plus, the St. Louis location is owned and operated by born and raised St. Louisans for more than 23 years. The company cares about the community, and it shows. They've raised over $4 million over the years for charities like St. Jude and Action for Autism. And one other thing you're looking for when you're thinking about replacement windows, well, that's great value. You're going to get that with Window World. And right now, they're offering 36 months, same as cash financing. So if you've been thinking about it, if you've been putting it off, now is the time to look into it. Give them a call. What are you waiting for? Give Window World a call at 1-800-GET-WINDOWS.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri, a full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
Your trees do a lot for you. Shade, beauty, curb appeal, but are they safe? Clever Tree Service has been protecting St. Louis homes and landscapes for over 20 years. Pruning, trimming, removal, stump grinding, even 24/7 emergency storm service. Fully insured, eco-friendly, and always focused on you. From Kirkwood to Chesterfield, Webster Groves to Wildwood, your neighbors trust Clever Tree Service. Visit clevertreeservice.com for your free quote today.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson from Newsmax. Excited to meet you at the St. Louis County Lincoln Dinner, September the 19th. Be sure to check out my show, Rob Carson's What in the World, Saturday at 3 and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. on Newsmax. And be sure to subscribe to the daily Rob Carson Show podcast. Now back to my buddy Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Before we get into this drone thing here, when I got in this morning on my desk on my laptop was this little bit of information that was just left. No note. It was just kind of anonymous. It's the tee time for every single start of every golfer for the BMW Golf Championship that's happening in Creve Coeur right now. So I don't know who left it here.
I have a feeling I know who.
But to this anonymous person, I'll just say, Tim Jones, I don't know a single person on here. I'm just saying.
I was like, who could have possibly known all of that information and wanted to share it?
Right, yeah. But in case you were wondering, at 11:38 a.m. our time, Ashke Bahashya and Hideki Matsuyama are going to start their round of the tournament.
God bless you.
Yeah.
And that's weather permitting, because it's kind of a little dicey out there right now.
Yep, it is. But I saw that sitting there, and I'm like, I don't know any of these people. Yeah, but you know what? I'm rooting for Min Woo Lee.
Why wouldn't you?
Because it's fun to say.
Right.
Yeah. So again, to the anonymous person, Tim, thank you.
Thanks,
but
Tim.
Just saying there. Okay. Are you okay with delivery drones flying overhead?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but see, I guess is kind of like the answer. A lot people are either I guess or I'm not sure. Because what's happening is Walmart is partnering with this company called Wing, and they run these delivery drones, and they're not big packages.
Not Flock.
Not
Wing.
Flock. Wing, exactly. And so last night, representatives from the company were giving presentations to different areas, and there were very different responses. So here's kind of the setup that they've got is like at certain Walmarts, and in like for Maplewood, it would be the one on Hanley Road. Which have you ever been to that one?
I don't.
I've driven by it.
Good for you all. Don't go.
Okay.
You know, I don't know how.
It's very people of Walmart-y?
Very people of Walmart-y, often with police cars in front of the door.
Oh my!
So it's safe.
With their lights going in front of the, I don't know how many
Doubly
times
safe.
it's honestly better to go down to the one by Tucson Ferry. I try not to go Walmart at all. But what they're talking about doing is at these Walmarts, or eventually I think they want to do them in almost all Walmarts, is set up basically a fenced off landing pad, for lack of a better term, and have several of these delivery things. And then they've got two different sizes. One can carry a 2.5 pound package. The other can carry a 5 pound package. Order on Walmart's website, whatever. They load it up, and then it flies to your porch, to your driveway, wherever it is you want, sets the thing down with a winch, and then flies back to Walmart. So you can have something delivered whenever it comes up next in line.
Does it play Jetsons music while it does that?
I don't think it does. And so in Maplewood, the reports are, and I wasn't at the meeting, obviously, but it got a very, very chilly reception.
Really?
People not wild about this.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, in Maplewood. Now, if you don't know Maplewood, very hippie left wing.
Yeah.
And I only say left wing, not that this is a political thing, but that's just the nature of Maplewood. Very hippie-ish. And so there were complaints about more things in the sky. It could hurt the birds. I'm not making that up. I'm pretty sure the birds can get out of the way. But these things can go, they can go like 45, 50, 55 miles an hour.
Yeah.
They can move. And then other people were talking about, and this would be to me something I think Wing would have to explain. There are cameras on this. What about privacy? Where are these things going to be allowed to fly?
Sure.
Or is it just as the crow flies from Walmart straight to 123 Apple Street or whatever, and you fly right over everybody's house? Or is it going to have to follow the pathway of like a street? And I don't think they don't have, because there's nothing on the books. This is a new thing. In St. Charles City, Mayor Dan Borgmeyer was quoted in the Post-Dispatch article saying this is really impressive, and they got a very warm reception. And nobody showed up to really speak against it, whereas in Maplewood, pretty much everybody showed up to speak against it.
That is interesting because, first of all, I don't think of this as a political thing at all.
No.
There could be surveillance questions.
Yeah.
There could be safety questions. I mean, if you're going to be like sending these things out there, you want to make 100% sure they can't accidentally drop their whatever they're carrying because, that could create all kinds of issues. It seems to me like people that are all in on delivery of their purchases as it is, which I am not one of those people. I want to go to the store. I don't want to have somebody bringing it to me unless it's something that I order online from like far away.
Sure, yeah.
But for as much as people are big fans of delivery type stuff and technology, I'm a little surprised that they would not be on board with, you're saving the environment. Someone's not driving a car to deliver it to you. The lefties in Maplewood, I would think would be all over that. This would be way less environmentally harmful in theory, would have a much smaller carbon footprint, let's say.
Oh, that's an interesting point. I hadn't even thought of that.
So I'm a little puzzled by this.
Yeah. What do you think, Jerome? You okay with the drones bringing you your whatever?
Heck no.
Okay, why? Tell me why.
Well, ignoring the obvious issues that I already have with drone technology and surveillance sort of enabling things, if my package is damaged, who am I supposed to yell at for 25 minutes? I mean,
Walmart?
Just from the areas that I've grown up around, these I can imagine are going to be something where the risk of vandalism or destruction of property is going to exceed in a lot of areas, going to exceed the actual.
People are going to be trying to shoot them down.
Well, not just shooting them down, but I mean, so like when those electronic scooters, there are areas where you could like rent a scooter, just go around.
Yeah, the bird,
the bird
ones,
scooters, and people were for no good reason throwing them off of the sides of like parking garages and into the rivers and stuff like that. Now you've got a drone, and I can imagine in certain areas people would have let's see if we can knock it out with a baseball bat. Let's just keep it. Let's just vandalize it.
It's like an anti-avian thing. Everyone's against bird, flock,
wings. There you go.
Now, if they were using real pigeons to do the deliveries,
carrier pigeons. That's all it is.
I would support.
It's just a robot carrier pigeon.
But I like the ideas of humans having jobs, not machines.
Well,
or
humans can't. The humans can't fly.
Well, but
not yet. Not with that attitude.
But I mean, to the fair point is that this is going to replace some degree of delivery driver. Now, only 2.5 pounds for one and 5 pounds for the other. So most things still have to be brought to by somebody.
Now,
that doesn't mean that this works. Then they build a bigger drone and they can bring something that's 20 pounds or whatever the case is.
And I'm sorry, but let's go back to revisit this.
Yeah.
I realize that there are times when, from a convenience standpoint, it makes sense to have something delivered. And you can't, maybe you get a little sick baby and you can't go out to get it. I do get that. But, what are you having delivered to your house that's 2.5 pounds or 5 pounds that you can't generally go get?
Yeah. And so some of the things and I'm thinking like an alderman, like I used to be, is I would be questioning, I would not be wild about this thing flying as the crow flies, just in the event of a wind gust or something, it gets, a battery goes out, a malfunction, whatever. I would say, okay, shouldn't this go along the route of a road? Because if it drops, then at least you may hit a car, but you're less likely to land on.
Accident.
Yeah, but you're less likely to
driving along.
Yeah, but you're less likely to hit
someone's makeup falls.
Right. Yeah.
Windshield.
Yeah, but you're less likely to hurt somebody. Not that you wouldn't be in a position to do that, or landing on somebody's house or whatever the case is.
I mean, I think there are legitimate questions to be asked.
Yeah.
I'm just honestly surprised that this is, for some reason, something that the left is opposed to.
Right, and because when you think of Maplewood, it's very, very leftist.
Mm-hmm.
And then in St. Charles City, they were like, "Hey, bring it on," and it wasn't really an issue. And so it looks like they're going to get a better reception there. And I mean, if you're sitting in your backyard and you see a drone, because they go basically up to about 200 feet in the air.
Yeah.
That's as high as they can go. And so, a typical house, at the most 2-story house, is going to be what? 35 feet in the air?
Yeah.
Something like that. So this thing's going to be way above you unless it's landing to deliver something to your neighbor. So you could, in theory, be sitting on your deck or your patio and a drone buzz by. on there.
I do think there's going to be kids that are just going to be shooting BB guns.
Oh, it could very well be. Good luck hitting one that's moving 55 miles an hour. But
they're going to try.
Yeah, So, yeah, I think, let me know. If you guys have a problem with it, I mean, I would be, I don't know that it would bother me that much, but
really
I would like with anything new on this, and I'm not really hung up on they're going to take some delivery person's, job, because that's just the way technology operates now. And this technology is going to make it easier for some small business somewhere or somebody doing an Etsy store out of their basement to be able to probably get it delivered cheaper,
Yeah.
So there's a little give and take to all of it. But I would want to say, okay, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. And let's make sure that we minimize the possibility that this crashes through somebody's living room window.
Definitely.
Talk about a surprise delivery.
Yeah.
Now, it is that time of the week, today being
Bump Day!
And that's a day where we ask you for your favorite 80s themed bump music. Now, this time of year, it's either a very proud moment for some of you parents where your kids got their first day of school, or it's a moment of relief that, thank goodness, they're going back to school finally. So, I want your best back-to-school 80s bump music requests. That's to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com, and let me know what time you listen so you can actually hear your request.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
Future's now, old man.
on News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures towards the lower 80s. Scattered showers and storms continue throughout the remainder of the morning hours. Then we're looking at a secondary potential round by the afternoon, evening hours, looking at some isolated showers and storms. Best chance for some stronger wind gusts going to be south of Jefferson County and areas back towards Arkansas. The rest of the region, though, going to continue dry out as we head off to Thursday morning. Dry conditions, temperatures into the mid-80s throughout the upcoming second half of the week into the weekend. Maybe a spot shower possible Saturday morning, but we dry out really quickly, looking at partly sunny skies. Beautiful weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
Hey, your business already has the data, but it's scattered everywhere. Prism.ai brings information from your systems all together. Talking to your business in plain English. Go to Prism.ai. Complete a quick 2 to 3 minute qualification, then book a conversation. And PRI Global will help you create a program custom designed around your business. Prism.ai. Prism.ai spelled with the number 1. Prism.ai.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Plus, Vincent's can customize jewelry for your clients. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
The truth about political polls is they are very, very good. If they are very right. When they aren't, let's move on. Nothing to see here. Recently, a group calling itself Median Strategies did a polling project. In one, it said that L.A. Mayor Karen Bass had a 12-point lead over her primary opponent. 12 points, that's pretty big. It was also a big lie. Median Strategies also said that in Wisconsin, Democrat Socialist of America Hong was leading by 23 points against her primary opponent. She lost. Now Median Strategy says those were fake polls. They were all part of a short-term social experiment to see how polling information would affect an election. That's their story, and they're sticking with it. What do I think? I think Median Strategies was using fake numbers to push the election to get the results the group wanted. Now Median Strategy says, we will not publish additional polling. Right. Former vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin once asked, what do you think of political surveys? She answered, polls? They're for cross-country skiers and strippers.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
When you count on Connor, you're getting the timeless American values that have guided our company from day one.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. I love Capriotti's, and you will too. Visit Capriotti's now at 2 locations on Manchester, McKnight, and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
At Body of Health, we're a small but mighty family operation with big ambitions for your health. I'm Helene Tobler, and I'm jazzed about how our MRI-grade body composition analyzer is putting personalized health and wellness on steroids. It helps me and Dr. Tobler, that's my husband, refine the advice we give to help you feel better and live longer. Body of Health, trusted, discerning, affordable health care the way it ought to be. Learn more at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, whose job is it to keep kids safe online, and who's responsible when tragedies happen from things like cyberbullying? That's the center of a court case. Meta being sued. We'll get into that in just a couple of minutes here. We got before we get to that, we got Stephanie. Stephanie had some thoughts on the drones. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Walmart wanting to set up delivery drones, and pretty chilly reception to that in Maplewood, but pretty warm reception to that in St. Charles City as well. Stephanie, where would you lie on that sort of spectrum of yes or no on those?
If they could carry more, I'd be all for it. That way, I don't like going up anyway. My comment, though, for calling was they tried this 15, 20 years ago with Amazon, and it failed. I was going to put a pun in there, but I decided not to.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's right. Now, here's, I guess, the technology would be better, but, when you started saying, I'm like, oh, that's right. Amazon did try that, and it was I don't remember if it was like a debacle with the execution of it. I just don't think the machines were ready for it.
It was that, and the flight path couldn't be figured out where it wasn't going to cause a problem with airplanes, and everybody was having a cow about it.
Yeah.
We'll see. Then.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Stephanie. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of logistics because, this isn't one where you can pass a state law and make it legal and say, here are the rules. You can set some guidelines, but every community, because everything's got different construction and designs and power lines and poles and towers and lights and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, logistically, this may not be feasible.
Yeah, at least not right away.
And then the cost of hiring a drone operator, having them being able to actually pilot the thing.
More jobs. It's a good thing. It's more jobs.
Yeah, but they don't pay very well.
Oh, well, figure out which one you want. You want people working at Walmart or not? I don't know.
Okay, we got elections happening. Obviously, elections happened last night, setting up for the midterms. And, of course, we've got everything from Iran to the Congress critters have scattered all over the country. So much going on. Redstate.com is where you can keep up with that. So if I go on, say, redstate.com today, Susie, what is it that I should be looking for first?
This is the Red State Rundown.
First up today from Sister Told we have this one, the Ossoff-Plattner similarities and how they could sink the Pee Wee Herman re-election campaign. I think he's been given a name, and I think that's going to stick.
Yeah.
John Ossoff running for Senate to keep his seat in Georgia, and that's going to be a tight race. So interesting one to watch, and yeah, he's stuck his neck out, and now there's going to be a lot of back and forth, I think.
Yeah, and he took a swipe at the president last night and left his social media, really tried to run with it, and it just fizzled out.
Yeah,
accusing the president of having an affair with one of his staffers.
Insinuating it.
Yeah.
It was really it was actually a really kind of gross comment. And so he's taking some heat for it, and now he's been dubbed Pee Wee Herman. So there you go. Anyway, Sis wrote that one up. This one from Bob Hogue is interesting. Goodfellas or public servants? California official urges reporter to take a different tone on a tire story. Ashley Zavala is one of the big reporters that covers a lot of California news, and she was writing up another California policy that they've put into effect that's going to be bad for everybody. and critical of it. And apparently one of the executives in the executive branch called her up and said maybe she should consider taking a different tone.
Or?
I don't know if there was an
They
or.
just left
They
that
just left it open, but it did sound a little Goodfellas-y.
Say sounds like a little bit, nice place you got
Right,
here. It'd
nice.
be a shame if something happened to it.
Exactly. So Bob wrote that one up. And then from Jennifer Oliver O'Connell, this was a fascinating story. It was all over the news yesterday. Baby-faced kingpin, alleged leader of Penn State fraternity cocaine trafficking ring, turns himself in. Did you guys hear about this?
I just saw the headline. I didn't read the story on it.
Yeah, there was like a cocaine trafficking, like a high. We were talking about that big bus.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well, this was like going on over at Penn State. This was running out of a fraternity, like their off-campus housing. Like it wasn't necessarily on campus, but it was through that fraternity, and this was like a whole operation they had going on. I think there's like 14 people that have been arrested, and then the kingpin of it all was like 24 years old, and he looks. Well, I don't know. Have you seen his picture?
I haven't seen this picture, no. Looks like a nerdy baby.
Is that McLovin?
Does kind of look like McLovin.
That's what he looks like. I mean, it looks like Revenge of the Nerds meets Scarface is what happened at Penn State.
Yeah, so basically you've got, what? I mean, Snow Beta Snort, fraternity? What do we got over there?
Well, it was, I don't know. It was DU and somebody else. I'll have to come up with a better pun for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it's been a fascinating story, and Jennifer has the update on that. And if you want to look and see what the baby-faced kingpin who looks like Revenge of the Nerds meets Scarface looks like, go check out her story.
So it's somewhere between say hello to my little friend and I am McLovin.
Somewhere between those, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I am the little friend.
Jeez. Okay, just a few minutes left here. And I think we set that up pretty well just a little bit ago regarding this lawsuit that's happening in California over Facebook and Meta. Meta is being sued because they run Facebook and Instagram. And in the courtroom, which is in Oakland, California, a lot of people were showing up, and they were showing a big banner at the kind of the press availability outside the courthouse with names of young people who have taken their own lives after things like extortion, sex extortion, cyberbullying, things like that. And the argument is the states are suing, and we're talking red states and blue states, all involved here, 4 states in all. And they're arguing that Meta has not done enough, and that they knew the potential risks and they knew the risks of the impacts that social media could have on young people in particular, and they didn't do enough to stop it, fight it. And Meta, their lawyers are arguing, they made it clear they're going to be arguing that, yes, we do know the problems, and we've been working for a long time to try to mitigate it, but it's not our fault how people use the platform. That feels weird, but at the bottom line, what it comes down to is who's actually accountable and responsible, or is this something that you share accountability and responsibility?
Right. A lot of states have what's called comparative fault. So there could be, it could be that it's not all or nothing. It could be there's a percentage attributed to the companies versus, the end users. I feel like where there's likely to be a, where they might have a leg to stand on here is if they can show that these companies, like in the information they were putting out and their disclaimers and everything like that, were being being misleading or false. There might be something there. I think it's a steep hill to climb to prove. Now, this is a civil case, so you're not talking about beyond a reasonable doubt. You're just talking about more likely than not.
So you're talking about like scales of justice.
Correct.
Which side does it come on?
Correct. So I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen what kind of evidence they're going to present. I have mixed feelings about it, too, because I think ultimately we each have to be responsible for what actions we take, no matter what the technology is provided to us.
Yeah, and I was reading the Salem article on this in particular, and one of the things they were pointing out is they're not even necessarily suing for big monetary awards or something like that. The process is the punishment, if that makes any sense, because really what they want is they want these internal documents and emails and memos among Meta leadership to come out and be exposed in court, whatever those say.
Right.
That's really what they're looking for, and then they're demanding changes in the process. as far as what Meta does with Facebook and Instagram, and which would obviously have a ripple effect through other social media platforms. And if they know there's a horrific problem or trends and they do nothing, saying but it will cut into our profits. Okay, that's one thing. It's going to look bad, and it could affect them in the marketplace. And the other part though is we talked about this with something else this week. Is parents know what your kids are doing, and I know it's not possible to know it all the time, but who's parenting the kids? Who's training them? Who's equipping them? Who's telling them to think critically? Who's building the relationship to say, my world is ending because I got this threat or I got this insult or I got whatever. Who's the one responsible for working with the kid through that? And that's parents. Yeah,
and it's hard.
And it's really hard.
It's really hard, but that doesn't mean that it's not your responsibility and that you shouldn't do it. That's called being a parent.
Yeah. And parenting is hard work.
Yes,
so I don't want to let big tech off the hook, but I also don't want to let parents off the hook for the things that we're supposed to be doing.
No,
as well. So I've got real mixed feelings on it too.
I do too. Well, does free speech end at the curb, or should beggars be allowed to ask you for money in the street? We've got the update on an anti-panhandling bill in St. Louis County, and that's in the news dump coming up at 7:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself, unless you suck.
On News Talk STL.
Speaking of sucking, you know what really sucked? Last night I went to played a baseball game last night in Bridgeton, and what really sucked is we lost. But what sucked second most, the darn mosquitoes. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at the Mosquito SWAT team. I was just getting eaten alive at BMAC, at the Bridgeton Municipal Athletic Complex at the baseball fields out there. And, of course, I'm driving home, and I'm itching on my ankles because I got bit by the dang mosquitoes. And then I remember, Mosquito SWAT team. These guys can come to your home. They can come to your business. They've got solutions custom-made for what you need, and they only use trained, educated, professional techs to come up with a solution. They don't walk up to your place and say, okay, you hired us. Here's our one thing. We're going to spray everything down. They can get rid of those mosquitoes in your yard, on your property, at your business, and let you enjoy the rest of the summer, enjoy the fall, not be the main course at your own backyard barbecue. Don't do that. The Mosquito SWAT team. Look them up, mosquitoswattteam.com. You can find them on social media as well. Let them show you what you can do. It's a quality of life thing, and increasingly, it's a protect your health thing. mosquitoswattteam.com. Tell them Mike told you about them on the radio.
Hey guys, don't miss Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. where we talk about so many areas, including AI, law, and health. We have some fantastic guests on my show. Don't forget, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Stand and fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey, it's Nick Schroer. To preserve this nation, to preserve the experiment in liberty that our founders envisioned, we must take a stand and fight.
Stand and fight with Nick Schroer. Sunday nights at 6.
Only on News Talk STL.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, government is not the solution, government is the problem. When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Governments shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free Market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall selling picture postcards in Kansas City to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the Free Market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Turns out it was not Tim who left me the list of all the tee times for the BMW golf tournament, but I'm going to blame Tim anyway. It's just more fun.
Yeah, always.
Yeah,
That's a safe rule of life.
Okay, a lot of that begging that happens in intersections could become illegal in St. Louis County. Yeah. Not all of it, but some of it. Also, the Cardinals building some momentum right now. It is 7:52. Let's go and do another news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by STL Fenceworks.
The Morning News Dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke? Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right, the term is aggressive panhandling, and that could become illegal again in St. Louis County. Now, while some cities have banned it, a previous attempt by the county government to do so was vetoed by Sampage in 2023, and a previous attempt at that was struck down by courts before that. The new ordinance passed 6-1. It outlaws asking for money in an aggressive manner. It bans begging for money in roadways and within 15 feet of an ATM, among other restrictions. And everybody involved agrees that it is likely to be challenged in court.
Yeah, I think it might hold up.
We had a conversation with St. Louis County Councilman Dennis Hancock about that a little bit earlier today. That's going to be up on our podcast. So check that out if you've got any questions, because it looks like they took the previous swings and misses and they've really tailored that into this to avoid some of those downfalls. We'll see how it goes. Okay. A decision could come today in a lawsuit over the proposed Amendment 6. And Missouri voters are saying, Mike, I don't know anything about Amendment 6. Well, yeah, because it's not actually on the ballot at this point, but it might be. That's one of the referendum efforts Secretary of State Denny Hoskins rejected. If passed, it would raise the vote threshold required for state lawmakers to overturn laws approved by voters to 80%. Secretary Hoskins says it involves more than one subject, and that's why he declared it unconstitutional and has blocked it from being on the ballot. Arguments were heard Tuesday in Cole County Court, and the judge indicated that he may issue a decision today because it's likely to be appealed regardless of the ruling. And keep in mind, by state law, the deadline to set the ballot for the November election is September 8th. So now we have two major lawsuits regarding constitutional amendments on the fast track to be decided in the courts. That's right. Hang on, everybody. Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison suing Texas Governor Greg Abbott, trying to get the extradition of an ICE agent who shot a man in Minneapolis last January. Ellison is accused, the agent is accused of making false statements regarding the circumstances leading up to that shooting. Governor Abbott suggesting he doesn't really have a whole lot of use for their lawsuit or their extradition request.
Well, listen, while they're making demands, I got a demand of my own, and that is it's time for Minnesota to step up and repay the United States of America and Americans for all the fraud that they've committed in their state under federal programs.
Okay, it doesn't actually address the question at hand, but the governor's not wrong about that. It just doesn't have anything to do with what's at hand.
As dodges go, that was a very effective one.
It was a good one, yes. Keith Ellison telling reporters that if the agent wasn't extradited, that he could possibly be released from jail just 90 days since he was detained under Texas law.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I need to look at the legal aspects of that, but I do think that Ellison may have a point here as far as the legalities of having him brought back to Minnesota for prosecution.
Yeah, and I mean, and then you got the arguments of, well, he's a law enforcement officer, is there sovereign immunity and all that kind of stuff, which is a whole separate set of legal arguments.
That doesn't apply to when you're talking about criminal prosecution. That's just from civil.
Yeah. So then they just got it. We'll see where it goes. Okay. Congressman Byron Donalds is now the Republican nominee for governor in Florida, and he won that primary election quite handily. And he says he hopes to continue the momentum and the policy and the progress of current Governor Ron DeSantis.
My administration will be guided by three pillars: making Florida accountable, achievable, and most of all, affordable.
And of course, Ron DeSantis is term limited out as governor of Florida. Democratic candidate David Jolly winning the primary in that party. He won that very handily as well. Byron Donalds' conventional wisdom is coming into this heavily favored to win.
Could Ron become like governor of, I don't know, New York, Illinois?
Yeah.
Can we trade him? Maybe.
Yes, that would
California.
Boy, how long would it take Ron DeSantis to turn the state of Illinois around?
Not that long.
I don't think so. I think
that
if
long.
anybody, somebody like
I mean,
Ron DeSantis.
he would be fighting the legislature.
Right.
But I don't think it would take him that long.
Yeah. All right. Police in O'Fallon, Missouri say somebody put 4 guinea pigs in plastic balls. Now, I'm talking about plastic balls. I'm talking about like the hamster balls
Right, the
kind of things.
the little habit trail thingies.
Yep. And then abandoned them along Old Highway N near Hawkridge Trail earlier this month. It was over 90 degrees at the time when somebody actually found them, and they don't know how long they were in those balls. 3 of the animals died. Now, if found, the person responsible could face cruelty to animal charges. PETA, an organization I rarely have any use for at all, they're offering up to $5,000 in reward money for information leading to an arrest and conviction in this case. And also the O'Fallon, Missouri Animal Control is looking for information as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me mad.
Remember this one? ZZ Top drummer Frank Beard has passed away at the age of 77. He was the band's drummer for 57 years.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend, Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Tired of big corporate repair shops? J&J Auto and Tire is family owned and St. Louis proud. 16 years of honest answers, even when it's not what you want to hear. Digital inspections sent straight to your phone, videos and photos of exactly what we found. No guesswork, no pressure, just a trained service advisor helping you make the right call. Contactless drop-off, loyalty rewards, fleets welcome. All backed by a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty. J&J Auto and Tire on Page and Overland. Honest repairs, real people. Book today. JamandJAuto.com.
When it's important to you,
what St. Louis is talking about.
It's on News Talk STL.
Under the advice of my attorneys, we're voting on whether a witness who has received the benefit of a sweeping federal pardon can be ordered by this committee to answer questions.
News, analysis, opinion.
The Middle East is waiting to see if a deal can be reached. Every time these people do a deal, they either break it or after they make it, they want to change the deal.
And they're bloodthirsty savages, but they are not stupid.
1019 and 94.1.
My talk station.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. It's a resounding win for Byron Donalds in Florida. A blowout victory for the Republican congressman in the Florida governor's primary. Donalds, who is backed by President Trump, vows to keep taxes low and to protect school choice. He also says he'll stand with law enforcement. Donalds vowing to keep Florida red and keep Florida free. He'll be facing off against former Democratic Congressman David Jolly in the general election. Also in Florida, President Trump is applauding the primary defeat of Democrat Alexander Vindman. He was the star impeachment witness against Mr. Trump. Vindman lost by a wide margin to challenger Democratic Socialist Angie Nixon in the Florida U.S. Senate primary. Nixon will face Republican Senator Ashley Moody come November. Luigi Mangioni's state murder trial is postponed amid a legal battle over double jeopardy.
Mangioni's state murder trial and the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was slated to begin September 8th, but it's now on indefinite hold as his lawyers seek to have the case thrown out on double jeopardy grounds following his guilty plea last week to federal charges. Judge Gregory Caro issuing an order canceling the state trial and giving the Manhattan DA's office until October 9th to respond. The DA had said they wanted to go forward. Meanwhile, Mangione is scheduled to be sentenced in the federal case December 18th. Prosecutors said they would seek life in prison, though federal sentencing guidelines call for a term of 24 to 30 years. Julie Walker, New York.
Recovery efforts are ongoing in Hawaii in the aftermath of Tropical Storm Lala, which spawned destructive flooding as well as widespread power outages. Checking on Wall Street ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures are up 324 points. NASDAQ futures 158 points higher. More on these stories, townhall.com.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes,
from the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures towards the lower 80s. Scattered showers and storms continue throughout the remainder of the morning hours. Then we're looking at a secondary potential round by the afternoon, evening hours, looking at some isolated showers and storms. Best chance for some stronger wind gusts going to be south of Jefferson County and areas back towards Arkansas. The rest of the region, though, going to continue to dry out as we head off to Thursday morning. Dry conditions, temperatures into the mid-80s throughout the upcoming second half of the week into the weekend. Maybe a spot shower possible Saturday morning, but we dry out really quickly, looking at partly sunny skies. Beautiful weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
So Sam Page's trial doesn't start till January. Now, why is that? So we can interfere in this year's November election for county executive, huh? Well, we'll ask Mark Carter that Wednesday, right after Vic for Bets.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Boo! Relax, nerd.
Susie Moore.
And that would be a good time to respond with some applause.
Get up, St. Louis.
That's a banana republic without the banana.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the county council taking another swing at curtailing aggressive panhandling, and that's the term that they're using.
Aggressive panhandling.
Aggressive panhandling, not panhandling. So we talked to Dennis Hancock a little bit ago. He was really careful to lay that out, saying we're not saying you can't panhandle. There's just some ways you can't do it and some ways you can do it.
So that they can't actually twirl the pans and do little tricks with them? Or
yeah,
no?
They juggle them, whatever. Yeah, so this, and then I'm reading the articles and you see some of the video clips. Anytime you're talking about putting restrictions on begging or panhandling, or you could even expand that out to, homeless people camping everywhere. I mean, I was in Well, I was in Bridgeton last night playing a baseball game, and when I was driving up there, there's that overpass when you exit off 270 onto the Rock Road there, and you turn left, you go underneath the overpass to get to where I was playing ball. There's a dude who has set up a home there under that overpass. I mean, I've seen him there, and you see his stuff kind of scattered everywhere. And anytime somebody goes in and says, okay, this is a hazard to you and other people, Larry Rice will come in and argue against any sort of ban or restriction. I think Larry's misguided on that, but he's had different levels of support over the years. And there are some things that Larry's right about. He was when he got upset at the city was shutting down his homeless shelter, and he warned what was going to happen, and the city shut him down, and then exactly what he warned was going to happen happened, which is a homeless problem scattered throughout the city that's now moving into some of the first-ring suburbs, kind of along the areas in the inner belt. Well, he was at the county council meeting last night arguing against the changes to the ordinances regarding panhandling, saying don't make it harder for them to get money. They just use it to eat and stuff. Well, we know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
But, the point that he was making was don't make it harder on them. That's already hard for them. Well, there are resources available. Now, they come with accountability. But that's not really the way that I'm reading what the county council did. Because they were careful to say, I guess it would be better for me to say, they were careful not to say you can't beg. They were careful to say, we're not making it illegal to be there at the off-ramp of 270 by Dorset or the off-ramp of 270 at Olive. I've never seen anybody at the Ladue one, but then again, that's been under construction up until recently. So you look at all of those, you look in other areas of St. Louis County, Manchester and some of the other roads out there. And there's just a lot of it. There's a lot more there than you would see in St. Charles County. There's obviously a lot in the city, but we're talking about St. Louis County here. And so what they've said is you cannot aggressively panhandle, specifically defined in a lot of areas. Touching somebody,
Big no-no.
Yeah, big no-no. Now, they say touching without permission, but touching somebody. Intimidation. Continuing to ask for money even after somebody's declined. So, hey, can you spare $1? No. Oh, come on, man. Can you just help me out here? Okay, well, that would be illegal.
So harassment, basically.
That's how they're looking at it. Is that harassment or is that just more free speech?
Well,
or is it both?
Okay, so
and I'm asking because I mean, to me, I have no. If I tell you no, that means no. I'm not giving you money. Stop asking.
Yeah, I'm not begging to you. I'm begging around you, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that one's a little bit of a gray area, I suppose, because it is difficult to define. I mean, I guess it lies in the intention. If you are intentionally continuing to pursue somebody with the outcome being, desired outcome being that they eventually cave in and give you the money, which is kind of essentially what harassment is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you just, keep going until somebody gives me what you want. Some other things, blocking traffic, 100%. See, to me, that's the biggest thing.
Yes.
The biggest thing to me is stay out of the dang road. And it's not because I'm offended that you might knock on my window. It's somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah, even if you're not a panhandler, just don't obstruct traffic.
Yeah, somebody's going to get hurt. And maybe it's the beggar. Maybe it's somebody slamming on the brakes right in front of somebody else who is going to rear end you. I mean, it's just a matter of time. It's probably happened already. I don't know if it's happened here, but at some point it's going to get hurt. That's my biggest beef with all of this. Somebody's going to get hurt. Using obscene or abusive language, again, kind of subjective unless there's a threat, or causing somebody to fear bodily harm. All those things are generally illegal anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, coercion is definitely illegal.
Yeah. Yes. But also, for instance, it would ban also begging at bus stops.
Loitering.
Yeah. Because obviously people get on a metro bus or, I would assume this would probably also apply to, the metro train and that sort of thing. Also within 15 feet of an ATM.
Soliciting.
That would that makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to end the problem. Because if somebody's like, okay, well, even if I measure out where 15 feet is, somebody's got to work more than 15 feet to get to their car, unless you're talking about the drive up at the bank or whatever the case is. And then on private property, which, I mean, is trespassing, but somebody has to complain before it's trespassing.
Yeah.
But that would also mean like the experience that I had a couple weeks ago. I'm going to the grocery store and there's a guy, clearly homeless and down on his luck for whatever reason, begging for money as people are walking in and out of the grocery store. So this would be prohibited, assuming that the grocery store says, hey, you can't be here. And then during inclement weather and at night. So you could only panhandle during sunlight hours. And if it's not like storming like it was overnight.
I understand at night, but I mean incremental
you
weather.
See them, you know.
Yeah, because that could legitimately be like a public safety. I mean, sort of issue. But due to incremental weather, I mean, I don't normally see when it's like tundra snow outside. Somebody sitting out there. I mean, at that point, you kind of. I would feel bad enough to give them something if that's really where their life's at. I mean, even if they're not going to use it on food, if it's torrential downpours and you're still out there begging, I mean. That's how you get.
Which I've seen that happen.
Oh wow!
I don't know if that's going to be considered a public safety thing as well. And the bottom line is that we are seeing an increase in this. I'm seeing more of it now than I saw 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We've always seen it in the city. Matter of fact, there were times where it's like I've seen that person at this intersection and that intersection and that intersection. And there are people. This is what they do. This is how they get by.
Oh yeah.
And for those people. That's not, I don't, at some point, if you're doing this for years and years and years, even though there are all kinds of resources available to you, that's on you. Now, I understand there could be mental health issues involved, that sort of thing, but the reality is that that's on you.
Well, in some places, it's lucrative. I mean, it is almost sort of, some people do treat it as an occupation because they know the places that have the highest statistical likelihood of getting money, and people don't do things just to do them when it comes to financial stuff like that. So if you see somebody and they're alternating the and where I'm from, there would actually be like beggars getting into fights over spots.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because it was like you're not a quote unquote real beggar. You are just doing this because you want some extra money today. I mean, it's going to be a difficult occupation to outsource to AI. So I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you're making the occupation harder now, but at the same time,
there is online begging. What's that website? What's it called? There's GoFundMe and there's some of the others.
Give, Send, Go, and all
Give,
that.
Send, so there is online begging.
Oh, I mean, I guess
it's not AI, but it's out there.
You're going to see them at the library trying to set up those accounts, but yeah, so it doesn't sound like in general just hanging out on the block somewhere with like a hat out saying, hey, with a sign saying spare change or whatever. That's not being outlawed, but it's the actual like targeted harassment of it or the level of engagement you have to participate with that.
Right. And the ATM thing I think is really interesting because if you're getting $20, $40, $100, $200, whatever you're allowed to get out of your ATM, that can be pretty intimidating for you to get cash out and suddenly somebody walks up like, hey, can I have some of that money?
Yeah, that sounds like borderline robbery at that point.
Yeah, and so, I get this, and so what's going to happen is somebody's going to sue, probably the ACLU or one of these activist groups that works with homeless people, and so they're going to sue saying free speech, which is what's worked for them in the past.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know if Sam Page is going to sign this into law. It doesn't matter. It passed 6-1. His veto would be irrelevant. It would be overridden within a week. So this is going to become law, and then we'll see what the courts say about it. Everybody involved says, yeah, it's going to be sued. And a lot of times, you say, well, you're balancing this right and that right. Can you still have the right to free speech with the government saying, okay, but you can't walk out in traffic and impede traffic? Yes, but you can't threaten people for it. Yes. Now, some of these I think are going to be a little bit subjective, and they may have some court rulings that say, okay, this part's legal, but that's not. Or they could say because that part goes too far, the whole thing's struck down. I don't know, but I suspect we're probably looking at about 6 to 9 months of legal wrangling to find out whether this is going to stand.
So Scooter from Facebook, good morning, Scooter, is asking what the enforcement side, do we know actually, like, would it be a fine, incarceration?
It'd be a citation, so likely a fine. I get typically on something like that, I guess if it goes far enough, they could put you in jail, but generally it would be a citation. It'd be kind of like a jaywalking kind of thing. So there would be some legal consequences, and you can push that as far as you want. But no, this isn't going to be like a misdemeanor, felony, stuff like that. Well, I mean, it'd be a misdemeanor, but it would be a low-level citation.
Okay, so it would be essentially just charging them with what the non-panhandling equivalent of the crime would be, or would they add with intention to panhandling?
Yeah. Now, if you no, I don't think so. I think it would be a separate thing at that level. But now, if you get into whether you're intimidation and threatening and stuff like that, well, that's a different thing. But they would probably go after a different one. But you would be looking at basically a low-level citation is what you're looking at, and the idea, just keep people off the streets. I mean, that's the thing. Stay on the dang curb. I mean, just stop walking in traffic. You're going to get yourself or somebody else hurt. Stop walking in traffic.
This is your cousin Law. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby, only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
News, analysis.
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, speaking of free speech stuff, and this one, I don't know, there may be some people disagree with me on me, and which is fine. You probably heard Disney, ABC, they are suing the FCC because the FCC, under direction, obviously, of the Trump administration, has said, you guys haven't been fair. You've been biased. You've been, 98, 99% negative to the president. You're not upholding your end of the licensing deal. I think it's time to examine the renewal of your broadcast licenses now. And it's clearly a response to the hostility that ABC and the Disney-owned stations have.
So the FCC won't let them be?
Yeah, that's really what they're looking at here. And so they filed a lawsuit saying this is targeting them politically for their free speech using the public airwaves. And honestly, there's a point to that. So here's the take on this. And I'm looking up actually one of the most loyal Republican, capital R Republican Party members that I know, which would be Tim Jones. You can hear him every afternoon here at 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. He actually posted something else on Twitter or X the other day that I completely agree with here. And I got to, because he posts so much, I got to scroll down here just a little bit on this. And what he had to say on this, and I agree, and I'm stalling because I got to keep scrolling because he has so much to say on this. And that has to do with consider the moment versus the power that you want the executive and the administrative state to have. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that I think we get lost in sometimes when it's somebody that we like that has, holds the keys essentially. It's what are we enabling and what is the precedent that we are sending out to those that will have power in the future of what we will tolerate and permit for them to do to others.
Yeah, here's what Tim posted this past week. He says, whatever you think of ABC's coverage, leveraging broadcast stations' license renewals to control their editorial choices sets a dangerous precedent that outlasts any administration and violates the spirit of the First Amendment, if not the letter of the Constitution itself. It should concern everyone that FCC chairs from both Reagan and Obama administrations agree, and he's referring to the story about the former FCC chairs calling the review of ABC station licenses, calling that basically a threat. The article is former FCC chairs and officials call agency's early review of ABC licenses, quoting, an assault on free speech disguised as regulatory process. And I think Tim's take on that is actually correct.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really correct. And hear me out. Hear me out. Right now, the mainstream media coverage of any Republican, but particularly Donald Trump, is hideously biased. You've got organizations like the Media Research Center showing the bias, showing the selectiveness of what they cover and what they don't and how they do it. We call it out every day here on this station and on this show as well. That, to me, is beside the point. And do I think Jimmy Kimmel's an idiot and a dishonest narcissist? Yes. Do I think Stephen Colbert is the same? Yes. Do I think Disney and the ABC stations, do I think that they deserve the public trust? No. But here's the thing. I don't have to agree with them. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more worried, like Tim put on social media, I'm more worried about saying, you know what? We don't think you're being fair to us, or maybe we can show that you're not being fair to us. So let's go ahead and dig in there and think about yanking your license because you're my political opponent and you're using your broadcasting to do that. I got a problem with that. And I think you should too. Here's why I say that. We just came out of an administration couple years ago that was really hostile to conservative media, not in broadcast, but to the point where they were working with and pressuring social media to squelch conservative voices, including ours. We got kicked off of YouTube like 2 or 3 times. We got throttled, and we were just among the thousands of conservative voices that had that happen. Now, that wasn't broadcast, but think about it this way. Let's say that right now the power rests with the Republicans, and so they can look around and go, nice broadcast operation you have here. Be a shame if something happened to it. We don't like what you're doing with your coverage or your commentary. Now, ABC, when they claim that shows like The View is a bona fide news product, that's just stupid. Of course it's not. But think about a Gavin Newsom administration, J.B. Pritzker administration, Hakeem Jeffries administration, Kathy Hochul administration, Gretchen Whitmer administration. Think of all of these folks who are far removed from where we think. And they look and go, oh, we've got a precedent. We don't like what they say. We can just yank their broadcast license. We can't do anything about cable, but we could go after News Talk STL. We could go after KCMO Talk Radio. We could go after Zimmer Radio Group stations in mid-Missouri. We could go after those stations, make it pretty clear, oh, you're too hard on us. You're going to be a thorn in our side. Let's review your broadcast license. Because stations like ours would be among the first targets.
Yeah, it is possible and likely encouraged to recognize that people like, especially Jimmy Kimmel, are informational charlatans. And that if the information that they are presenting, the bare basic information is factual, but it is extremely biased with a slant, I wouldn't necessarily say that's in the public's best interest, but at the very least, as long as they're sticking to the actual information, I think that they should be able to still be biased. However,
We're biased.
Yeah,
I mean,
openly.
I'm biased on this show. I am a free market conservative, which is why I critique both parties. But I'm biased. I'm telling you that right now.
And that's why your name's on the show.
Right.
But during the last election cycle, we quite literally, it was like Kamala Harris, I believe Hillary Clinton, a bunch of the big Democrat names were all talking about the importance of censorship because to fight misinformation, disinformation, cheap fakes. What is to say that they are then not going to say, well, this must be misinformation because it's got its conservative lens through it?
See, that's a great point because the Biden administration wanted to appoint a misinformation czar. This is kind of the Trump administration's version of that. And so what I'm saying is you can agree with his assessment of the problem of biased and dishonest media. We've been talking about that since the 70s. Without buying into his solution, which is eerily similar to what those on the left have tried to do over the course of the years. That's why I say don't look at the moment, look at the broader picture. And I think that's what Tim Jones did so well 6 days ago in his social media post on this. So I don't like what the Disney stations do. I don't like what the ABC stations do. The ABC station here in town is Channel 30. I watch Channel 30 when they have ESPN sports games on there. Other than that, I don't watch their news. The marketplace can take care of that. But that's why I say, okay, is Trump right to be angry at the bias? Yes. Is he right when he says that they're not actual journalists and they're not telling the truth, that they're fake news? Yeah. But if the response is government's going to punish you for the way you're reporting and speaking, that's a dangerous precedent that's eventually going to be used and weaponized against conservative media because conservative media is effective. They want any weapon they can get. And if the Republicans hand them the precedent and hand them the weapon, all they're going to do is say thank you and use it. And here's the playbook. You look for local independent broadcasters like NewsTalkSTL. We do not have tens of millions of dollars. We do not have millions of dollars to fight back the legal battle if an administration came after us and, say, 15 other stations. J.B. Pritzker is most likely about to be reelected governor. What happens if he goes and picks out, okay, here's a half a dozen stations that reach Illinois. Salem stations in Chicago, NewsTalkSTL here. You know, I'm sure some conservative stations somewhere in Decatur or Springfield or somewhere like that, in Moline or Peoria. I don't like what they're stirring up against me. Hey, buddies in the whatever administration, let's go after them. Don't hand them the playbook to do that. Default to the marketplace punishes you. Jimmy Kimmel Show loses millions of dollars because nobody watches it. Because he's lost audience until he was pushed out. And then he had this massive resurgence. Everybody got tired of Stephen Colbert going off the air. ABC's news ratings, their broadcast news rate, dropping like a rock. They're losing out to Newsmax and Fox News and all the others. The marketplace has shifted. Don't use government threats to tell people what they can and can't say, even if they're being jerks and they're biased against us. I just think there's a bigger picture we need to be careful of here.
Very well said. I agree entirely. What I also like to agree with is when people like to put the video stream that we put so much effort into onto their TVs and treat us like a televised thing, even though we are not a televised news source, we are a radio source. But you can do that if you've got a smart TV by going on Rumble or YouTube. I'm not sure about any of the other platforms, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, your smart TV, you might be able to put. I don't know if you can put your social media like Facebook and some of that there, but yeah, your smart TV can. You got options.
But if you can do that, please let me know, Jerome at NewsTalkSTL, because that'd be incredible. But go ahead and look us up on there. You can also, if you've got a computer, a smartphone, or any other screened device, you can look us up on X, Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook to check out our streams, and make sure that while you're there watching us, you leave us a follow, a subscribe, or a like, or preferably all of the above.
From the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures towards the lower 80s. Scattered showers and storms continue throughout the remainder of the morning hours. Then we're looking at a secondary potential round by the afternoon, evening hours, looking at some isolated showers and storms. Best chance for some stronger wind gusts going to be south of Jefferson County and areas back towards Arkansas. The rest of the region, though, going to continue to dry out as we head off to Thursday morning. Dry conditions, temperatures into the mid-80s throughout the upcoming second half of the week into the weekend. Maybe a spot shower possible Saturday morning, but we dry out really quickly, looking at partly sunny skies. Beautiful weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scott.
Fox News commentary with Craig Gutfeld. Next.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Here's Greg Gutfeld.
You're for having police, they're for getting rid of them. That's not symmetrical, because their stance discards the entire aim of fighting crime. Binary opposition works fine when the two things actually live in the same neighborhood. We want a police force versus we want no police at all. That's not a binary. That's one guy talking about how to fight crime while the other guy is claiming crime is a food group. So when you allow the left's ideas into a neat little left-right scale, more cops, zero cops, you're letting an arsonist interview for the job of being the fire chief. And the person who wants police looks as extreme as the person who doesn't. And same for the border. You're for a border, they aren't. Looks like a classic binary. Two sides, same debate. Let's meet in the middle, somewhere between a wall and a welcome wagon. Except it's not.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Everyone deserves a safe place to call home. Cedar Oak in High Ridge is a unique ministry providing more than just shelter. They offer hope, support, and a compassionate community for individuals rebuilding their lives. Since 2023, they've helped those facing housing challenges, especially when addiction has been part of their journey. At Cedar Oak, you'll find personalized care, empowerment, and real long-term solutions. Take the next step, visit cedaroak.org. Cedar Oak, where new beginnings take root.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Senator Hawley, I grew up in North County. The subdivision that I lived in, Coldwater Creek, ran through our neighborhood.
The federal government dumped radioactive waste into the water, into the air, and they knew about it. They've done it for 70 years, and they've lied about it. And people in our state and in that region in particular have gotten sick and died.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Looking for insurance you can truly trust? Since 1986, Bauer Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses across Missouri and Illinois. Owner Cindy Blanton doesn't just offer one quote. She shops all the top carriers like Progressive, Travelers, Safeco, and more to find you the best rates. Whether it's your home, auto, toys, or business, we've got you covered. Visit us at Mid-Rivers Mall in St. Peters or call 636-812-2001. Bauer Insurance Agency, the company that protects. The name you can trust.
News, analysis, opinion.
We offer freedom, they offer socialism. When you got the DSA and people out there advocating openly for those types of policies, I think American people are going to say a big fat no to that.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs.
In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
Interesting debate that's come up with one of these court cases on the Missouri side here. And that is Amendment 6. Now, this is the second proposed constitutional amendment that we've told you about that you may not be familiar with. This one is not on the ballot, at least not yet. Okay, so Amendment 7 we told you about is on the ballot. That's the one that would basically create an investment/endowment fund eventually with the hopes of replacing taxation in Missouri. We talked to Senator Adam Schnelting about that. That's on our podcast. Amendment 6 is not the one about the congressional maps. That one's being worked through the courts. This one would have to do with state lawmakers basically overriding or canceling the results of a referendum. Okay, so by pretty much all accounts, the signatures required to get this on the ballot are there. They have more than enough signatures, over 300,000 signatures. Most likely, they've got enough valid signatures to do this. Secretary of State Denny Hoskins says there's more than one subject in here that violates the state constitution. Therefore, he rejected it. He's not putting it on the ballot. Now, what's happened in the past is that if something violated the state constitution, it was put on the ballot and voted on, then you argue in court over whether or not it complies with the Constitution. Now, here's the thing, though. You pass a constitutional amendment, it becomes part of the Constitution. And you can't really argue that an approved constitutional amendment is unconstitutional because it's part of the Constitution. You can argue that with laws, but with that. So Secretary of State Hoskins says this does not meet constitutional muster for what's allowed to be on the ballot to amend the Constitution. And so the battle is whether or not he has the authority to do that, and then whether or not he's right.
Okay, so it's basically a two-part issue there.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
One, and this is with two different cases, the Secretary of State, the question is, does he have the authority through his office to say this qualifies for the ballot because of the content, or it does not, and therefore I'm rejecting it because I've ruled it doesn't comply. And the courts are going to have to decide whether or not he has that authority. So far, they're allowing him to do that. Now, it's not up to the state Supreme Court yet, but that's where that is. And in this particular case, we go back to a couple of referendums over the years the voters have passed. And then state lawmakers go in and say, no, you made a mistake. We're going to go vote and undo it, part of it or all of it. And that happened recently with the vote regarding raising the minimum wage and passing a state law by a referendum that requires almost all employers, including most small businesses, to bank up paid time off, PTO, for workers, even if they're part-time. They work 5 hours a week. After so many hours, they would get an hour of PTO, that sort of thing. Terrible public policy. But voters passed it. It made the state less competitive. It was just bad economics. And frankly, the big businesses, they were already doing it. So, of course, they wanted this thing to pass because it makes it more expensive to compete against them.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, voters passed it with a pretty hefty. I mean, it wasn't like the Amendment 4, Amendment 5, 80-20, but it wasn't close. And immediately, the state legislature, many Republicans made that a priority to say we're going to undo a lot of that, and they did. They got rid of the accelerated increases in the minimum wage. They didn't get rid of all of it, but they got rid of some of it, and they basically stripped out the PTO thing. Well, that is better economic policy, but then the question is, not a great look.
No.
Voters just said yes to this, and then lawmakers went, you effed up. No. Not a good look. Now, there are times I think you do need to do that. If there's something that passes that's violating somebody's rights, then I think the legislature should absolutely go in and go, no, we're not going to allow you to violate somebody's rights and, spend 10 years in court doing that. This was a policy decision that I disagreed with the outcome. But when the vote came in, I'm like, that sucks. My side lost. Okay, we'll see what happens. Well, lawmakers changed it. And it happened years ago with an animal rights thing that, and then it happened more recently than that with the so-called Clean Missouri vote. With the that was I can't remember if that was a constitutional amendment or not, but that was terrible policy. But it was put back on the ballot, and voters changed it themselves. And so what Amendment 6 would do is raise the threshold for lawmakers, saying if referendum Proposition 2, take your pick, Proposition S, whatever it is, if statewide voters pass that law and the legislature doesn't like it, the legislature would have to still vote to overturn it, but instead of just passing a majority and sending it to the governor like it's done right now, they would have to get 80% of the vote in both the House and the Senate before it could go to the governor for signature. So it would be an increased, massive increase, making it darn near impossible, even with supermajorities, for any legislature to overturn a referendum. We're not talking about constitutional amendment. We're talking about referendum here. So I got mixed feelings on it. I do think there needs to be some kind of check because so many of these things, first of all, are misleading. Secondly, sometimes they are violating people's rights. And so checks and balances go all different directions. Going back to the beginning of our country, the founding fathers absolutely warned us against too much direct democracy, which is why we live in a republic, not in a democracy.
Yeah.
You can go back literally to the Roman Senate and see warnings
You can
about.
go all the way back to ancient Greece, one of the first democracies. They even had restrictions on who was allowed to participate in that system.
Yeah, so there are checks and balances that go all different directions. And that's one thing that we've forgotten that is included in checks and balances. Having said that, sometimes voters make a bad decision on a policy thing, in my opinion, which is why I vote against them. And you have to say, but that was up for a vote. It was legal. May have been a bad idea, but if it doesn't violate somebody's actual rights, you got to respect it, even if you don't like it. So I still think there's got to be something in there. I think the legislature should be, because the legislature, remember, is elected by the people. So they can put a check on that. But maybe like Susie was suggesting earlier when we were talking about this, that instead of saying, okay, maybe just a simple majority in the House and the Senate isn't enough, but 80%,
It's a bit extreme.
that's a lot. Maybe you mirror what a veto override would be. Is it 2/3 for that? Okay, well, then you got to get 2/3 to veto something that the people put in. And then the lawmakers can go back on the campaign trail and defend that vote 2 years later or 4 years later.
Yeah, there is a interesting dilemma with recognizing that people are not always either the most informed on a subject that they are passionate about and or may not have a complete view of the consequences and outcomes that could come with what they think is a very good idea, but also not necessarily wanting to give the government a blanket, sort of ability to say, hey, you guys all voted to recognize Taco Tuesday as a St. Louis holiday, and we said, nope, you're not doing that.
No, the Toasted Rav lobby got to them.
Yeah, so it is.
I side with the Toasted Ravi love. Actually, I love Taco Tuesday too, but yeah.
You would.
Can't we all just get along?
But that's, I think, what's I guess fundamentally the issue there comes in is that it sounds like the core problem is just people not taking the responsibility of voting as seriously as they should to make sure that they are informed, that they do have a better grasp of things. Because, again, I would love to get banked, paid time off to just for showing up to work and everything like that. But that has to be a company policy. You can't mandate that from the government.
Yeah, and that's what happened is the people voted to make government mandate it. And that's bad for business. That's bad for the economy. It's fine for big businesses because they do it anyway.
Yeah, because they can afford it.
They can afford it.
Yeah.
That was a lot of that was bankrolled by big businesses and by unions who wanted to make it more expensive to do business for small and medium-sized companies. Frankly, the ones that are competing against big business and the ones who don't hire union labor. That was a lot of the motivation for that. But they were able to pitch that very populist-wise. But I just remember, and I said it, I'm like, I get what the legislature is doing. That's a better public policy. But if we're going to have a referendum process and that's available to the people of the state, then it needs to be available to the people of the state. I'm not saying don't have any checks on it, but I am saying that you should be judicious in vetoing what a public vote is on things that don't violate people's rights.
Well said. Now, you know what today happens to be, and it's not Taco Tuesday.
What is today?
It's Bump Day, which could be a national holiday
It
if
should
we get
be.
enough votes.
I think we put that on the ballot. That's our next referendum.
Yes, let's put it on the ballot. So today is Bump Day, which means I'm going to beg and plead for your best 80s bump music song requests for Flashback Friday. And this week's theme is back to school. So some of you might say, wow, look at how big my little toddlers become. It's their first day of school coming up. And others may say, hey, finally, the school's back in session. Get out of my house. Leave me alone. So
where's the wine?
Yes. So whichever phase of life you may be in, I'm sure there's a song that reminds you of what it felt like to go back to school, or that reminds you of getting back into the school year. And I want to hear it. So send it to me, Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com, and let me know when you're listening so you can hear your request.
You know, Taco Tuesday is fine and all, but how about Donut Day? You say, well, which day? Yeah, any day. And Mario's Donut is as good as it's going to get. We were just there on Friday. By the way, you can see a bunch of pictures from our live broadcast from Mario's Donuts. There's a difference. Mike Ferguson here from my friends at Mario's Donut, and it's not even just the donuts. I absolutely loved the breakfast burrito that I had there. I brought one back for Jerome. Got thumbs up on that one as well. Susie had the breakfast tacos as well. You can get healthy food. You can get lunch at Mario's Donut Restaurant on Mugi Road. MariosDonutRestaurant.com. They can even cater your office meeting. They can cater that birthday party. And here's the thing. Mario's is so much fun, and it's big. We saw early in the morning a group of a gentlemen and ladies came in clearly just based on their clothing that they're wearing, very patriotic, meeting, solving some world's problem, having a great time of fellowship, and that's the great environment that Mario's offers here. So check him out, mariosdonutrestaurant.com, or just stop by. Go to Mugi Road, just put in Mario's Donuts in your maps. It'll take you right there, and I'm telling you, it's different. These donuts are head and shoulders above that mass-produced nonsense you're going to get at the convenience store or the grocery store. mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
This is Stacy with Reach Reproductive Health. Join us October 22nd for our annual Reach Gala at the Factory in Chesterfield. It will be a night of incredible live music and inspiring stories, and we're excited to finally reveal our keynote speaker, Michael Gosling, birth son of Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers, who will share his powerful story and adoption witness. You won't want to miss it. Register or sponsor a table at outreachforlife.org/gala.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken. Hey, Vic. Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
Okay, a lot going on around the state, a lot going on around St. Louis here. Let's do a quick wrap-up before we hand things over. You've seen them in their cardboard signs all over the area. You can probably think of somebody right now in your mind's eye who I'm talking about here. Now, a lot of the begging that they do at intersections could become illegal in St. Louis County. Not all of it, but some of it. Also, who is responsible when cyberbullying happens? Social media is on trial. Cardinals building some momentum right now. It is 8:50. Let's do one more news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Great American Divers.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Aggressive panhandling. That could be illegal again in St. Louis County. Now, while some cities have banned that, a previous attempt by the county government to do so was vetoed by Sam Page in 2023. And a previous effort at that was struck down by the courts on First Amendment grounds. The new ordinance passed last night, though, passed 6-1, well beyond what's needed to override a veto. It outlaws asking for money in an aggressive manner. It bans begging for money in roadways and within 15 feet of an ATM, among other restrictions. It is likely to be challenged in court, but it is tailored to what has been upheld in other situations.
I would like to see panhandling made great again, and if this is a step in the right direction for that, then I'm all for it. But I also understand, it is annoying to see them, but it's a big difference when they're coming up to your vehicle or accosting you in public.
You've got the right to beg for money, okay? You've got the right to do it. I don't like it. I personally am not going to give you any money, but stay out of the dang road.
Yes.
Somebody's going to get hurt. That's my beef with this. That's why I think there's got to be something here. We don't have to end people's free speech or even curtail it, but you don't get to walk out in traffic and endanger people's lives. And the whole thing with the ATMs, I think, actually makes a little bit of sense as well. Okay. A decision could come today in a lawsuit over that proposed Amendment 6. We just talked about that a moment ago. And so the case was heard yesterday. A judge says he could issue the decision as early as today to leave time for the appeals process because everything has to be settled by September 8th. That's the legal deadline to have the ballot set for the November election. Florida Congressman Byron Donalds has won the Florida nomination for governor from the Republican Party. He defeated candidate Jay Collins. Donalds was on Fox's Fox at Night with Trace Gallagher last night.
As a Republican Party, we have set the standard here in Florida. Ron DeSantis has done a great job as governor, and it's about keeping the wins that he's brought to our state going forward, but also building for our future, making sure that we can balance the growth with our agricultural lands and our conservation areas.
Byron Donalds will be up against Democratic nominee David Jolly in the November elections. Byron Donalds is heavily favored at this point to win this race. Ron DeSantis has taken Florida from being a purple, more red than blue purple state to a bright red state under Ron DeSantis' leadership.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be a very interesting midterms coming up here.
Yep.
So I guess we're starting to see the picture forming in the direction we're headed.
Facebook and Instagram's parent company Meta facing a lawsuit. That trial began in California on Tuesday. 4 states' attorneys general are suing the company, and these are both red and blue states, by the way, accusing them of not doing enough to protect young users from bullying, sextortion, and other harms experienced on social media. Among the accusations by those states and those supporting the lawsuit is the argument that the company lied about the dangers to vulnerable kids. Meta denies any wrongdoing, and its attorneys are arguing in the case that the company has worked to improve safety on their platforms.
It starts at home, though. The
totally.
First offense and the best offense is having conversations with your kid on how to not end up falling for those sorts of bruises where they get you latched in there, and how to actually respond and report these people for doing so.
Yeah. Police in O'Fallon, Missouri say somebody put 4 guinea pigs in plastic balls and then abandoned them along Old Highway N near Hawk Ridge Trail earlier this month.
Oh, come on.
And nobody knows how long that these guinea pigs were in these. These are the big balls that like hamsters run in and things like that. It was over 90 degrees at the time somebody spotted them.
Oh, geez.
Which had to be a bizarre sight. 3 of the animals died. The other taken to the vet. I do not know what condition it's in. Guinea pigs are not exactly hardy animals.
No.
So they're not very strong. If found, the person responsible could face cruelty to animals charges. PETA is offering up to $5,000 in reward money for information leading to the arrest and conviction in this particular case. If you know something, you can contact them. I'm not a fan of PETA. But I get what they're doing here. I got no issue with that. O'Fallon, Missouri Animal Control is also looking for tips and clues in this as well.
That's just downright cruel.
Yeah, it really is. All right. How about this? This may ring a bell with you.
Rumors spreading round in that Texas town about the shack outside the game. And you know what I'm talking about. Just let me know if you're gonna go to that home out on the range. They got a lot of nice girls. I'm racing.
Yeah, us Gen Xers grew up with his music. ZZ Top's Frank Beard died at the age of 77. He was the band's drummer for 57 years, and ironically, given his name, he was the one guy who did not have a beard at all.
He was not the bearded one.
Nope. In a 2019 interview, he gave a simple reason when asked why he stayed with the same group for over half a century.
I'm still satisfied with them. I'm satisfied with Dusty, and I'm satisfied with Billy. With these two guys, I've never wanted to quit, and I've never wanted to get fired. I'll drink to that.
All right, Frank Beard was, like I said, the one without the long beard. Bandmate Dusty Hill died in 2021, leaving Billy Gibbons as the only surviving member of ZZ Top. The Cardinals have won 4 of their last 5 games. Last night, they beat the Reds 3-0. Kyle Leahy earning his 10th win of the season. Mason Wynn hit a home run. The Redbirds are 3 games back in the wild card race. They play the Reds again tonight at 5:40. Matthew Liberatore gets the start. Man, he's 5-10 on the year. He's got a 5.07 ERA. Not good. The trade deadline has passed. I'm a little surprised that he didn't get traded for a couple of minor leaguers, a player to be named later, and a basket of nachos with an ERA of over 5. Holy cow.